Ready? Okay, let's call to order the city council meeting for the regular meeting for April 26th. Would we take the roll call, please?
Councilmember Armstrong,
Here.
Councilmember Perkins,
Here.
Councilmember Safar,
Here.
Vice Mayor Burrows,
Here.
Mayor Hudson.
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any announcements?
There are no announcements this evening.
Okay, seeing none, let's move on. Item 3.2, if you wish to speak, now that's for the people that want to raise their hand. There are some people at home, right, that will be calling in. I assume we have Zoom people coming in.
We do have 17 people in attendance
Okay.
on Zoom.
They will speak after the people that are here. The people that are here will have first opportunity to speak. So if you're listening and you wish to speak tonight, you will participate remotely. Click the raise your hand button on your computer or star 9 on your telephone to request to speak when public comment has been taken on an agenda item. Boards, committee, and commission meetings. A complete list of upcoming meetings may be found on the city's website at www.sanramon.ca.gov. Subscription service is available at the link for automatic meeting notification. Contact the city clerk with questions, 925-973-2539. Public comment is now open. At this time, the public is permitted to address the city council on items that are on the consent calendar, including requests to pull an item from the consent calendar and the reason why you wish to pull the item or items, requests for future agenda items, special presentation items under section 6 of tonight's agenda. I believe we have 4 of them, and items that are not on the agenda and are within the city council's jurisdiction. Do we have any cards to speak tonight?
I have no written cards from the audience, but I do have a hand raised on Zoom.
Okay, and can you allow them in and let's hear from them?
And what is the time limit?
2
again?
minutes.
Thank you. The call is from calling user.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I am Elena de Barrio Veloce. I walked out at the last meeting because Councilmember Perkins would not address me by my name. He kept calling me by the wrong name. I don't appreciate that. I can vote for him, so I walked out on that meeting. And as a Doherty Valley resident, I'm very concerned that the fund is depleting and nobody cares. And I also resent the fact that the agenda does not reflect the correct presenter. The presenter turns out to be someone named Shane Shu. His name was not even on the agenda. I don't know who he is. And when he said that the weed abatement is going to have to take place, he did not disclose the frequency, whether it's going to be chemical that is harmful for the Doherty Valley residents, or if that's going to be mowing of massive people walking on the hills. And I don't appreciate the city knows the fact that there are hazards of landslide on the hills. The Miss Hyman's department continues to invite public everywhere in the whole world to walk these hills. God forbid, if there's an earthquake, that everybody gets buried on the hills. So be it that as a kind human being, I am disclosing to the public there are sliding hazards, geohazards on the Doherty Valley Hills that the city is not disclosing to the public. When you are here, pray that there won't be an earthquake. Thank you.
Any further comments? Saying any written?
There
I know
were-
there was one, and I think you got it on your agenda packet, but that was for, I think that was for the other item. Okay, public comment is closed. Just to be clear, because not everybody was here, she's addressing a item that we had earlier this evening, the Geological Hazard Abatement District. We're moving on to consent calendar. Consent calendar items are considered routine in nature, acted upon by the city council with a single action. Members of the audience wishing to provide public input may request by email, though you're here tonight, should have done it during public comment, that the city council remove the item from the consent calendar. Is there anyone from the audience that requested
I have no requests.
Okay, anyone from the council wishing to push 5-1 through 5-11? Do I have a motion?
I move the motion.
Okay, this is where we got to do the official, right?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Sridhar, you're the voter?
No, it's already moved in second.
Where am I? You got to vote. That's where you are.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm broken. All right, we're up there. What do we have? No one kicking in? We're going to do this by,
Better to have on the first item.
yep. No pressure?
We're just learning to come back.
Why? You don't have display.
Yeah, no. I'm spoiled. That's the way you handle these electronics. Just hit it harder.
Yes, bigger hammer technique.
Mover second, two, vote. He voted, yes. It's over. Okay, where is everybody? I have 5 of 5. The end vote is 5 out of 5. Okay, consent calendar passes. Moving on to item 6, which will be special presentations tonight. And the first one we have is a proclamation declaring April 2022 as National Donate Life Month. And I have a presentation for Donor Network West CEO and President Janice Whaley. Are you here? Hey, Janice. You don't need this stick. Doing this work. All right, Janet, they're gonna make it. Why don't you come around here so we're facing people? See if we can see us over there. Around. Now, I have a proclamation of the City Council of the City of San Ramon declaring April 2022 as National Donate Life Month. Whereas more than 797 individuals in Contra Costa County are currently on national organ transplant waiting list, and 22 patients die each day due to the shortage of donated organs. And whereas Donor Network West, headquartered in San Ramon, serves as the federally designated organ procurement organization in northern Central California and northern Nevada, and works in close partnership with families, doctors, nurses, and coroners in hospitals to connect donors to recipients. And whereas Donor Network West and their hospitals, partners, and clinics provide high quality, compassionate, and accessible health care for all persons in Contra Costa County to save and heal lives in our community through donation. And whereas organ and tissue are life-giving acts recognized worldwide as expressions of compassion to those in need that save thousands of lives each year. And whereas the need for donated organs is especially urgent in Hispanic, Asian, and African American communities. And whereas a single individual's donation of the heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestines can save up to 8 lives, donation of tissue can save and heal the lives of up to 75 others. Now, whereas over 15 million Californians have signed up with the state authorized Donate Life California registry to ensure that their wishes to be organ and tissue donors are honored. Whereas California residents can sign up with Donate Life California Donor Registry, but applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID cards at the California Department of Motor Vehicles. Now therefore be it resolved that in recognition of National Donate Life Month, the month of April 2022 is hereby proclaimed the National Donate Life Month in the city of San Ramon, and in doing so, we encourage all Californians to check yes when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID card, and or by signing up at donateorgansnetworkwest.org. Go ahead, okay. Run that thing all together. It's signed April 26th. Thank you.
As many of you know, April is National Early Life Month across the country. All of you. About organizing donations and violence. 5 years, Stone Northwest has served the organization and worked very hard to save lives. Nationwide, there are over 100,000 for those waiting for the gift of life, the uncertainty is excruciating. The way that we never guarantee. This is why we honor families and friends of donors who have supported their loved ones. Lives through donations and giving, especially throughout the year. We need to honor those who made that decision. Together, in partnership with over 175 hospitals, 500 townhomes, we work support, we work together. And we can't do this without our community. Great that we have the partnerships that we have, the right to knowledge, the partnerships that we have with San Ramon Medical Center and Florida Ambulance. Facilitated 5 years. What an incredible team. It is a great honor and privilege for us to work alongside our partners and we're grateful to our life-saving colleagues for the work that they do. There's always room for everyone to be a part of our mission. Anyone can be a donor, sign up. I know that the mayor mentioned about having .org, and you will find a place to sign up. I'd like to thank the city council for this proclamation, and again, San Antonio Regional Medical Center, and all those that partner with us to make things happen. That's what we need. Thank you very much.
Once again, thank you very much for such a worthwhile cause. And we will move on to our second recognition, and that is of San Ramon Government 101 graduates. Okay, we have many certificates, right?
Before the certificates, I would just like to say a few words.
Please do.
Thank you. So tonight, we're excited to recognize our San Ramon Government 101 graduates for this year of 2022. Our current graduating class is the 13th class that the city of San Ramon has offered. And it does represent a diverse cross-section of residents that are from different neighborhoods and different times residing in the city that range from 6 months to 50 years. So this class was incredible. We had such great attendance. They had excellent engagement with lots of questions for each session. And I just want to thank each of them for their time and effort that they put into the program. But I also want to thank the city council as well as city staff for their support and showing up for the sessions each week as well. And so we do have participants in the audience with us tonight. And then we also have some joining us virtually, but we do have certificates that we would like to present to each of them.
You have the certificate.
Yes,
Okay.
I have them. So I'm going to go ahead and call those in the audience up. You could come up, accept your certificate, and then stay up here because we'd like to get a group photo since we didn't get to do that this year.
Photos.
So the first is Yusuf Abdul Kareem. I don't think I see him. Charles Aslinger is not here. Desiree Aslinger. Jim Atkinson. Gary Shaben.
I know he's here. No hiding over there. That's right.
Wen Chang.
Yeah.
Joe Schweenard. Dinesh Govindaro. Kyle Levy. He's here with us. Sanjeev Nital. Mike Nelson. He's virtual. Danny Newell. Tracy Noble.
You believe how many people are interested in seeing what we do?
Gerardo Paniche. Anthony Razanowski. And Lisa Razanowski. Marisol Rubio. Alexandria Rubia Talavera. Kathleen Samick. Penny Trafton. Vaishnavi Urs. Lalitha Vaturi. Sujan Vaturi. That's Lalitha. Kathy Williams.
Right next to it.
And last but not least, Chico Wu. There you go.
Now, how are you going to get everybody in this picture, right? Come on, paparazzi.
On the side of the left.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience.
Hi, Mark. 2 rows. Government 102. Oh, no, we're gonna ask them to come back up if they want to speak.
They all passed the quiz?
Okay, before, we'll let them all sit down to see if they have their nerve. If there's anyone that wishes to speak and tell us about Government 101, please come back up and take the microphone. And if not, we'll leave it to the, go ahead, Gary. I know you're coming up here. Gary Chapin and I have probably known each other, what, 40 years? Yeah.
I just want to say thank you to the city council for offering these things to the city, to the members of the community to be able to get involved and understand who our community is out here and getting to meet people that we wouldn't meet otherwise. And the interaction that we be able to ask questions of specific people about specific things that are on our hearts and minds. And the police academy was great. This was great. I can't wait for the planning coming up. So we enjoy that one too. So thank you so much for all you guys do for our city. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for coming out. Is there anyone online that wanted to speak? Did they raise a hand or *9? Yeah, okay. We'll just
Anthony
get ready.
Radzanowski, thank you all for showing up. But I want to especially thank Christine. She was wonderful. Yeah, really putting it all together for us. You know, I had no idea how any of these things like amendments or all this planning commission stuff, what power was really where the decisions were made, and it was really fascinating to find out how much state involvement we have and what all of the red tape that has to be gone through just to put houses up. So I do appreciate all your work. Thank you very much. Thanks to lawyers. And thank you all.
Thank you. Okay. Did we have anybody online that wished to speak? Okay.
I just wanted to thank the city of San Ramon. I mean, this is a great experience. And I think really, I mean, I feel like all residents should take this. I mean, you know, appreciate the city council for having this and continuing this on. And the staff is wonderful. I mean, every course, every session we had 3.5 hours. I mean, it just went by real quickly. Didn't feel like it was 3.5 hours, I think, every session. And so learned a lot about the city. And, you know, I would just strongly recommend and urge all our citizens and residents to take this. And thank you again for doing, the staff did an awesome job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dinesh.
Think that
Okay, again, thank you.
maybe in the future, we'll make it a residency requirement.
Oh, no one online, Christine?
No, for the Government 101 participants on Zoom, if you'd like to make some comments, please raise your hand. It does not appear we have any request. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, we do. Marisol Rubio.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, council members. I just want to personally thank you so much for providing this opportunity to your residents. I learned a lot, and it was just very rewarding on many levels, and also meeting fellow residents who are equally passionate about our city. And just want to personally say thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing none, any comments from the council before we move on?
I'm just grateful we continue to give this class, and thank Christina and Joan for making this happen. And of course, all the staff that each week, you know, add a piece to the pie and make this so valuable a course. I'm so glad we started giving it and continue to do it.
Yes, I think this and Police Academy are wonderful.
Yeah, and the Planning Academy, that's it does so much added value to the citizens.
Yes. Sabina.
Yeah, just want to thank Christina first for organizing this, planning this, getting all the schedules lined up so that we were here as well, and for the great opportunity that you provide to our residents. Obviously, I shared the stage with the chief, so he steals my thunder every time. But I think that was probably one of the sessions which we had a lot of questions and people really want to learn how our public safety runs here in San Ramon. But it was a pleasure really being here and getting to know all of you through that session as well. So appreciate you taking out your time, spending 3.5 hours to learn more about the city and how the decisions are made here as well. So thanks.
Thank you, Sabina. Mark, anything?
Yeah, I also want to thank Christina and thank all those residents that are now Government 101 graduates. I took the course in the long COVID version prior to your class. And so I know what you went through. It's a great opportunity to learn about our departments, about our city, how we function. And I think it's, I really do think we need to continue to sustain that. And just thank you for participating and showing an interest in how the city operates. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Barros.
Congratulations to all graduates. Thanks to our city staff. As they mentioned, Christina, definitely she's steps up and give all that leadership skills she shows up for making this successful event. And also thanks for spending your valuable time during the weekdays and spending that time to learn about government, how the civic bodies run. You know, I strongly believe that community understanding and knowledge of their fundamental duties and rights and how the government works, that plays a key role in how the democracy can get stronger. So I really want to thank you for attending, and please share all your knowledge that you learned in this class with your fellow residents. Encourage them to attend this Government 101. And also I highly encourage you to attend Planning Academy session. That is really a valuable plenty of resources, information that are available. So once again, thanks and congratulations.
Thank you, Sridhar. Okay, on to item 6.3. This is a proclamation regarding a citywide commitment to reduce the use of single-use foodware to create a trash-free San Ramon. And Carrie Parker, are you here? There you are. We'll let you start us off and then I have.
Let me give you a quick presentation first. How about that? Because I want to tell you why you're proclaiming this. Uh-oh, what happened to my? Christina? Fabulous. Thank you so much. All right, proclaiming a trash-free San Ramon. This isn't normal. We haven't done it quite like this before, but it's in response to council tasking Public Works with formulating some sort of single-use ban on February 11th, 2020. So our planet has a single-use problem, and I'm depicting this picture here because we are seeing primarily single-use items, things that have been used for perhaps 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and then cast away. And often these things aren't captured well by recycling programs or are littered, and they make their way out to the creeks, down the rivers, and out to the bay, and out to the Pacific Ocean. It's a problem. We have not a lot of solutions for this single-use habit. So most of plastic litter in oceans comes from land-based sources, as I just described. Over 1 million tons of plastic goes into the oceans every year via rivers and creeks and whatever, globally. And most of that plastic that enters the ocean ends up on the sea floor, something we cannot see. And there's all sorts of contortions that policies have been made to slow down this single-use habit, including the state of California. And I'm just listing right here the state of California's laws. And a couple of years ago, they started with AB 1824 to make straws only on request. And that's just for dine-in. And there hasn't been a lot of movement on that. AB 1201 just last fall. And this is kind of a big deal. It ensures the compostability of products and prohibits harmful chemicals in their manufacture. And what they mean is a lot of, let's say, things that are called compostable aren't actually that compostable. I often say that compostable plastics are neither compostable nor plastic, but they do want you to buy that thing so that you will use it just once and think it might go to something beneficial. And there are harmful chemicals in the manufacture of some takeout foodware, and they wish to reduce that. So this is all under implementation through 2026. AB 1276, single-use accessories only on request. This seems like something we can do, right? Any restaurant can have those single-use items just there when the customer is looking for that. So accessory items mean things like straws and utensils and things like that, napkins. But as you may know and have seen around on the news, there are so many cities and counties and these are just California that I'm depicting here on the right, that have tried to do a law that will reduce single use the best. They're trying to figure out ways. And there are some that are very committed to that. If you're looking at this hierarchy, I put utopia at the top. It's all reusable foodware, because if we choose reusable, then we won't see that single use thing end up in our waterways, right? It won't be generated in the first place. And that's really where we'd like to see it go, just like how we generally eat at home. We use our dishes and then we wash them and then we use them again. There are cities that then, and I have these laws in order of how restrictive they are. So near the top, where Berkeley, Santa Cruz, and Watsonville, and just last week, Marin County decided that dine-in was, if you eat that if you dine in to eat, the restaurants are required to provide you with reusable dishware. And in some cases will charge you for that cup that you get, let's say for your latte, and they'll charge you 25 cents. And it's in order so you remember to bring that reusable and get it refilled, and so you don't have to pay that 25 cents. And just last week, Los Angeles County passed a ban, not quite as restrictive as Marin County and Berkeley, but for dine-in is reusable, takeout, compostable. And so you can see how it kind of goes down the list. Right there in the middle is City of Alameda. And that is a place where I worked for 18 years before coming to the city of San Ramon, where I've worked here now a year. I'd like you all to know. And we were trying this very same thing. And I was the one who wrote and implemented and was the enforcer of that ordinance. And when the pandemic began a couple of years ago, all of these efforts stopped. All of these efforts stopped, right? Takeout became king. And I was sitting in Alameda thinking to myself, there's got to be a better way to do this. And why are we spending so much time enforcing on a couple of restaurants when really the problem is the single use? It's not the restaurants. They're trying to give what their customers are asking for. And what I'd like to urge all of us to kind of look at all of this stuff. These are penalties that could be assessed against restaurants. It's restrictive, and it's a lot of staff time, very expensive. And I'd like to suggest that there's another way. And so you see here on the left that staff believes that maybe we could do this differently, that we could instead proclaim to be a trash-free San Ramon. We have to do it together. So no ordinance, no penalties, no bans. We want to encourage businesses to help us out, provide reusables wherever possible, especially for dine-in, and encourage residents to instead not just take that coffee on the go, maybe have a seat, sit down, have that coffee. And in fact, even Starbucks will serve you that latte in a reusable cup if you ask for it. So to just choose reusable wherever possible to reduce the single-use problem. We can do this together. I think this will be very hot. I think other cities will want to do this. We're even considering a rating system for restaurants in town that assist us with doing this. And you see over on the right, if you use mostly reusable dishware for dining in, you reduce your plastic foodware wherever possible, replacing with compostable fiber, and I mean like the papery wooden type, compostable, readily compostable products. That will earn you a trash-free certification. And then as you try to do more things, like maybe you're using all reusable dishware and compostable fiber takeoutware, then I'll give you a silver rating. The city will look in and provide a silver rating. And as it goes up from there, I know the platinum one seems a little bit restrictive, where there would be a reusable takeout system. You would receive a reusable container for your takeout, and the next time you're in, you'd bring that back in, they'd give you a clean one with your new food in it. I want you to imagine the loyalty that might provide a customer and a business. And the city wishes to support businesses in every way we possibly can to get this moving. And in fact, have considered things like mini grants to purchase reusables, have considered things like this. And this is something that is going to evolve as we go. Already we have started a campaign. We have included an article in the spring newsletter. We have included an article in the summer newsletter. We have your bill inserts from your trash collection company. We'll also talk about Trash-Free San Ramon to look for ways to avoid single use wherever possible. And even, I just wanted to mention this, we even seem to have a Scout project, an Eagle project that will be focusing on Trash-Free San Ramon. And we are developing that right now with that Scout. So that concludes my presentation. If anybody has questions or comments.
Thank you, Carrie. Anyone have a comment or question while I head up there for the proclamation?
I want to just thank you for thinking about the program and really bringing it to us. I love it. I think it's amazing. You know, what you can do. One of the things I started doing last year was getting the soda stream. So instead of getting those Pellegrino bottles, replacing that with a soda stream. So that's one way of getting rid of all that plastic, because
Great
it
example.
starts piling up and you're like, okay, this is like, again, you know, what good am I doing to the community? So I appreciate you saying that. And I think education is way better than penalties.
Deal is from it. As you notice, we now have reusable plastic instead of the plastic bottles we used to have up here. And Carrie, before you leave, and then in case there's, where do our picture takers go? Oh, they don't want our picture. That's okay. I have a proclamation of the City Council of the City of San Ramon regarding a citywide commitment to reduce the use of single-use foodware to create a trash-free San Ramon. And whereas is it Pacific Gyre?
Is it Gyre?
Gyre. I need to get more educated on that. An area in the Pacific Ocean has 2.7 million tons of microplastics swirling in an area of 620,000 square miles as a result of watershed runoff from the continents bordering that body of water. And whereas the state of California is a coastline watershed that Californians must take responsibility for all human activity impacts, and this watershed drains straight to the Pacific Ocean. Whereas most disposable foodware is not easily recyclable nor readily compostable, and does not contribute meaningfully to baled recycled commodities nor healthy compost, and can contaminate both recyclable and compostable materials. And whereas reusable foodware in lieu of disposable foodware reduces the production of greenhouse gases resulting from natural resources, consumption, manufacture, and distribution. And whereas the state of California has recognized that foodware as litter is so prevalent that it has required that straws and foodware accessories should only be offered to customers upon request. And whereas since 1970, Earth Day is celebrated every year on April 22nd for the 53rd year. It is a day for everyone to consider how shifting small behaviors can make huge impacts, as together we need to be responsible stewards of this fragile and precious environment. And whereas the city of San Ramon desires to work with businesses to steeply reduce the use of these single-use items without the use of a difficult to enforce foodware ban that forces an expensive policy on businesses, as businesses in this community will likely understand the benefits and cost savings of switching to reusable dishware wherever possible. Now therefore be it resolved that the city of San Ramon, in honor of Earth Day 2022, is committed to working with businesses to reduce the use of single-use foodware, and will prioritize and promote programs and businesses that support and practice reducing this waste so that together we can create a trash-free San Ramon. Got something for your wall, Carrie. We are the trash people. We got to get Mark in it. Talking trash. Thank you, Eric. You ready, Cindy? Okay, we have 6.4 is an introduction of community development employee Lucas Haas. And this is for our planning specialist, Cindy Yee, to introduce him to us.
Great.
Cindy.
Thank you. Good evening. It's my pleasure this evening to introduce the newest member of the Community Development Department, Lucas Haas. Lucas was born and raised in San Ramon, and you may have seen him on his time at the Cal High basketball team. He's played all 4 years while he was at Cal High. Recent graduate of the University of Arizona, where he received his bachelor's in urban and regional development, and is actually, in addition to working for the city full-time, also pursuing his master's degree at the University of Florida in urban and regional planning.
That's a tough commute.
It is, it is.
Online schools, man.
And in his free time, Lucas enjoys cooking and spending time with his family and friends. You'll see Lucas if you ever are at the planning counter. He'll one of his primary duties, he'll be working at the front counter, assisting our residents with business licenses to building permits and processing those development applications for us. So with that, just pass it over to Lucas so he can say a few words.
Okay, Lucas, dazzle us.
Well, first and foremost, I just want to thank Cindy and Lauren and Debbie for taking a chance on me and providing me with a wonderful opportunity. Like Cindy had mentioned, I was born and raised here in San Ramon, and never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be able to come back here and have such an opportunity to have an impact and give back as much as I've been able to in the last mere 3 weeks I've been employed here with the city so far. I'm truly honored. It's an amazing commitment to be here and to stand in front of you guys and have an opportunity to truly give back to the city where I spent the last 23 years of my life. So thank you. I'm very grateful, and I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you, Lucas, and we're glad to have you here. Any further comments before we let
Welcome aboard.
Lucas sit
Welcome.
down? And thank you,
Welcome.
Lucas.
Welcome aboard.
Thanks, Cindy. Okay, we have no deferred consent calendar items tonight. We'll move on to city council appointments. Just so people know, after this, we're going to take a 10-minute break so you can get everything set up in case anybody wants to head out early. The staff report will be by Kathy Heitman, our Parks and Community Service Director. Kathy?
Good evening, Mayor Hudson and council. It's of course my pleasure to be here this evening with a recommendation from the Parks and Community Services Commission for appointments to the Teen Council. So as you know, the Teen Council consists of 17 committee members and 2 alternates. The chairperson is appointed to a 2-year progressive term that begins as vice chair in year 1 and progresses to chairperson in year 2. All other members serve a 1-year term to begin in August of this year and run through June of 2023. The city clerk announced the vacancies, notices were placed on the city website and city facilities and distributed through the local high schools. 50 applications were submitted by the deadline. A subcommittee of the commissioners screened and scored all of the applications. A second subcommittee of the commission conducted 39 Zoom interviews over 3 evenings with the top-rated candidates. The recommendation of the subcommittee was reviewed by the full commission at their April 13th meeting, and the commission approved the recommendation and asked that it be brought forward to the city council for appointment. The following applicants are being recommended for appointment to the Teen Council with terms expiring in June of 2023. Sanvi Gupta, Ananya Pinameni, Saki Isha Sharma, Sadhana Tadapali, Darshita Pratap, Tanishka Chawla, Aditya Jan, Ilana Horn, Shruti Sridhar, Samyuta Tripasuri, Daruv Harnath, Tane Joshi, Sophia Pendersoli, Ria Bandari, Arpita Gupta, Harshita Jadil Karepara, and 2 alternates, Gatik Tridedi and Matilda Lin. In addition, the commission has recommended a ranked wait list to be established should an opening occur during the year. So this evening, I am looking for an appointment of the Teen Council and the alternates, as well as the establishment of a wait list.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Any questions of staff before I open public comment?
Good job, Kathy, naming all those, pronouncing all those names.
Thank you.
That's the way I pronounced it. Okay, seeing no further comments or questions, I'm sorry. Let's open a public comment. Do we have any cards? Anybody wishing to speak?
I don't have any speaker cards, but I do have a hand raised on Zoom.
Okay, let's bring in the hand raised. Thank you. Sit tight for a minute.
Hi, I'm not sure why I wasn't called. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure why I wasn't called to make a public comment after the trash-free presentation. I've been raising my hand for that particular item.
Okay, you're about the trash, not the teen council.
No,
Yeah.
but you skipped me for some reason.
No, you needed to put your card in during public comment.
I sure
Number
did. I raised my hand for the trash-free item.
Okay, do you have something you want to say about the trash brief?
I do.
Well, you're down to
May I?
about a minute, 16 seconds. You might want to hurry.
Through the
Okay, I
mayor,
just
at
want,
this point, we're
I
not
just want
speaking
to
about
say
the
that,
trash.
may I?
She can't do that at public
Hello?
comment.
Yes, please, if you would, just hold on and we do the second public comment and you can speak to it then. Okay?
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Now, public comments closed. There's no other speakers that I hear, nothing in writing, correct? No written comments that were sent in on this. The items before the council. What is the pleasure of the council?
I'll move the teen council appointments as read by Kathy Hyman.
Chicken.
Return to expire in July of 2023.
And accept the ranked wait list.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion, Perkins. Second for Rose. Put those things up there. Let's do the yes. Looks like it's 5-5. Everybody wants it. Let's end the vote. And we are now going to take a, well, we'll get back at 7:10, 8:15. Okay. We'll be back at 8:15 to continue. We sit in recess till then. We're on to unfinished business. This is item 9.1, a public hearing for resolution number 2022-57, approving the West Side Specific Plan Amendment and Project Initial Study, Mitigated Negative Declaration, et cetera, et cetera. Staff report by Cindy Yee.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor, City Council. I'm here tonight as I have for the other public hearings on this matter. I'm recusing myself. I do have financial interest that I own property in the area, so I'll be leaving the chamber and I will return for the next item. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Cindy, it's all yours.
Thank you. Good evening. I do not have a formal presentation prepared this evening, so no PowerPoint presentation. Tonight is the continuation of the public hearing on the West Side Specific Plan and environmental document for the specific plan for the West Side area. The project was continued from our last meeting on April 12th, where the council introduced the ordinance for recommending approval of the specific plan amendment. This evening, we have in front of you a resolution for your consideration approving the West Side Specific Plan Amendment and the project initial study mitigated negative declaration, along with the second reading of the ordinance 514, amending the West Side Specific Plan Development Standards and zoning regulations. In accordance with Measure G, we do have a 3 public hearing requirement prior to the adoption of any specific plan amendments. And so tonight would be the 3rd public hearing for this item. With that, I can answer any questions that you might have. In your staff report, you have the resolutions and ordinance for your consideration. The applicant is also available to answer any questions that you might have as well. So.
Okay. Starting questions of staff. I don't see any up here. I will just look down. Just as easy to look that way. I don't see any. I need a motion to, in fact, I'll make the motion to open the public hearing. Waive the second reading and read by title only. That's ordinance 514, which is an amendment, adopt amendments to the West Side Specific Plan Development Standards and zoning regulations.
I'll second.
Oh, Sabina was too quick for me. Okay, we have a motion from Sabina Zafar and a second from Shradar Varos. You got to be quick. Okay. Waiting on Scott. Hey, I got ahead of you, Scott. Okay. It's the end of the vote. That's 5-0 to open the public hearing. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none. We've taken the vote. Public comments is now open. How many cards do we have just to start with? And we're also going to have some people calling, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if you're calling for Zoom, please use the raise your hand feature on *9 on your telephone. When it's your turn to talk and call upon a name, if provided, remarks are limited to 2 minutes per person. The speaker's microphone will be muted once the allotted time has expired. So let's start with the people that are here tonight.
So we do have 14 people who have submitted public comment cards to speak. And then I've also received 8 public comment cards that do not wish to speak, but they are against the item.
Okay.
And I have received 3 written comments for this item as well.
Okay. Well, let's start with the 14.
Okay. So the first is Sandeep Dakras.
Sandeep.
Hello everyone, my name is Sandeep Dakras. I live in the townhomes that are right behind the El Nido property, and I'm here to register my opposition to the amendments being proposed. I'd like to thank City Council members for providing this opportunity to present my views. I would specifically like to talk about some of the amendments that will allow dense development, namely the increase in floor area ratio and the lot coverage. Considering city administration has an open mind to generally develop the plot into a residential complex, why does it feel the need to compromise on the neighborhood's quality of life? Why, for example, can we not contain the development so that there is no need to allow changes to maximum allowable lot coverage or floor area ratio? If these amendments are closely tied to the specific project being proposed, I appeal to the City Council to remove these amendments from the specific plan and deliberate on them in conjunction with the project itself. I also wanted to spend a few minutes responding to some of the comments made by City Council member Mr. Perkins during the public hearing held on the 12th of April 2022. First point, the member cited that traffic analysis needs to be conducted only if the increase in trips is by 50 or more. I'd like to raise the following points. Has the council considered the increase in trips in aggregate? So it might not increase by 50, but in aggregate, it might increase the traffic conditions, right? I wish the council takes a more proactive approach to the increased number of accidents happening specifically between West Side Drive and the Morgan Drive portion of the San Ramon Valley Boulevard. Second point is the council member said, and I quote, "Your properties impacted my quality of life." With due respect to everyone present here, I do not know how you reacted to the development that was being built around you at that time, right? If you oppose, it is no different from what we have been
We
doing.
need to wrap up, Sandeep.
Okay. And if you, so I'll just finish this part. And if you supported, then you got what you wanted, right? There are a few other points. Maybe I'll submit them in writing. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Next.
DB Liu.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is DB Liu. I bought my house in that neighborhood of this project in 1999, which is more than 20 years ago. And I've been off and on, lived there for, but my house has been there. Of course, I lived on and off for many years, and I've enjoyed living there. So of course, now, you know, this project is coming along, and it looks like it's not what the neighborhood or the community wanted. There are a lot of problems which, you know, the previous speaker and the speakers afterwards will speak to also. So I agree with all those points. Well, I just want to point out that the city council members have been fantastic from what I saw with the previous agenda items. So I applaud you for all those efforts, trash-free and other items. But with this project, I'm firmly opposed to it. In addition to those points we raised in the petitions, which is against it, and also other forums we raised other points. This is a too big project on a too small lot. It's only 0.74 acre land, as you know, but has plans for 84 bed, which is some people you can depict it any way you like. Too many cherries, too small basket, or too many cows, or too few, whatever. You can see this is in one sentence. It is too big a project for too small land. So as I said, I'm firmly opposed to it. I hope the city council will vote against it. Thank you.
Thank you, DB. Perfect timing. Okay, next speaker, please.
Brigitte Vigian.
Good evening, City Council, and thanks for the opportunity. And I have attended all the previous meetings, and I raised my concern and opposition for this project, and for various reasons. So I live right opposite to the property, and so our quality of life would be definitely be miserable if this project is approved. And a few reasons I already pointed out: the traffic maneuver already happening, and such a massive property coming in already a busy street with our kids playing around. So we are all really worried about if this is being approved, how situation is going to be. We all invested and bought this property because it's a quiet neighborhood, and so it's really concerning that one, how it is going, this project, if approved, going to impact our life, right? So we conducted door-to-door survey across our community and the neighborhood community. and also the change.org. So we have 1,300 plus supporters, and predominantly most of the, if you go through the comments in change.org, the concern is around the amendments, right? For such a small property, and with all the amendments like increasing the load coverage and reduction in parking slot, that means the street across our homes is going to get flooded with cars, and it's going to be really busy, right? So I would request especially not to approve these amendments. So that is our major concern, and kind of at least please consider that as our humble request, and take necessary action. Thank you again, and really appreciate all your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Harry Georgiadis.
To make this a little bit taller. All right. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I've been a resident of San Ramon since 2009, and I've been in my current home since 2011, which is just up the road from where the El Nido project is. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the pros and cons of the amendments, right? We've discussed those many, many times, but I do have a couple of points to point out. I'm opposed to the amendments to the West Side Specific Plan. I understand this disparity between the general plan and the West Side Specific Plan, but the amendment changes heavily favor the developer, what the developer intends to do with the El Nido property, but not the residents on the west side. These two matters need to be decoupled, and each amendment change need to be assessed on its own merit, not how it can affect and help the developer. I believe the fact that the developer was afforded the opportunity at each of the past council meetings and planning commission meetings to present on his grand plan for the El Nido project, that has swayed the planning commission and these council meetings, which should not have been allowed. These meetings should have been about the residents discussing the pros and cons of the amendments and seeking residents' feedback. I want to specifically highlight Mayor Hudson's and Councilmember Perkins' vocal support at the December and April meetings for the developer to construct the assisted living facility, which raises concerns on how impartial they can be when it comes to the decision-making process at each of these amendments. The city council meetings are meant to be impartial and independent and have the residents' best interests in mind, which in this case is against the amendments and clearly against the development of whatever the ALF plans that the developer has. I'm sure you've heard by now the 94% residents that are in the immediate vicinity are against this plan, and the further 1,400 people that have signed up on change.org to be against it too. At each of these meetings that we've had, the residents have been lectured to, admonished, and threatened about SB 330. For instance, at the last council meeting, a supporter of the developer who does not live in the proximity of the El Nido project asked you, Mayor.
Please wrap up.
I'll wrap it up. Again, asked you to educate us on what SB 330 is. We know what it is, right? I may be alone in my thinking, but expanding on the multi-townhomes that are adjacent to the El Nido project not only fits in with the character of the neighborhood, helps San Ramon meet its housing quota, and truly aligns with SB 330. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Minzy He. Okay, thank you.
Next.
Harish.
Good evening, council members, mayor. I want to thank the mayor and the honorable council members for giving me this opportunity to express myself on this issue. I want to state that I'm speaking on behalf of myself and not for anybody else. My name is Harish, and I stay very close to the proposed project. I oppose this project. I oppose this very firmly. My objections fall under the following categories: negative impact on seniors, negative impact on neighbors. So taking the first thing, negative impact on seniors. An 80-bed facility with support staff is too large for this site. Clearly, this has been stated by many folks. This kind of high density cannot be good for seniors, especially in light of the recent COVID pandemic. Increased traffic congestion due to the entrance to Centennial Way and entrance to the facility forming a four-way traffic junction will create a walking hazard, which is especially dangerous for our seniors. The senior facility is far from parks and outdoor recreation facilities, which can really impact the quality of life of our seniors. The closest park is across the busy San Ramon Valley Boulevard street. Now I'm going to go to the impact on neighbors. The influx of the site is currently designated as park medium density, but the proposed use of the site as an 80-bed facility plus support staff will make it high density usage. The influx of a large floating population of support staff can cause safety concern. The parking provided by this project is not sufficient, and it is bound to cause spillover to residential streets. Dismissing our concern as another case of not in my backyard, NIMBY, is not correct, because we are not opposing the original intent of the site as park or medium density.
You need to wrap up.
A change in of the site to high density would constitute a breach of trust with the neighbors who bought their house with the understanding that any development would be consistent with the current designation as park medium density and consistent with the current development in the neighborhood. I urge the honorable council members and mayor to reject this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Anthony DeAngelis.
Oh, thank you, Anthony. I almost did that with the last speaker. They're trying to capture you over here. Go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm Anthony DeAngelis, and I live on 20 Centennial Way, which is around 120 meters from the proposed development. I would start by stating my opposition to the project, as I have previously. And I think my friends and I who are opposed to this project have previously exhaustively covered the reasons for our opposition. In the broadest sense, three strands to our opposition stand out. To start with, I just want to expand on what my friend, Mr. Harry Georgides, called out just in terms of the hearings of the Planning Commission as well as the City Council. It has not been impartial by any definition. It's clear that, I think Mr. Mayor and Mr. Scott Perkins, during the last meeting and the meetings before that, quite openly have supported the application and invited themselves to comment on areas outside of the amendments to the application, to the West Side Specific Plan, which is what is being debated. I think the city attorney had also called it out during the previous meeting. Now, we had written in respectfully asking for the mayor, Mr. Hudson, and Mr. Scott Perkins to recuse themselves in the spirit of good governance. The second point I'd like to make is that the amendments to the plan itself, there's no good reason to agree to the application that's been made to the amendments. The appropriate thing to do would be to compel the applicant to stay within the confines of the West Side Specific Plan. There is nothing altruistic about this project, and its motive is purely for the maximization of profits. Now, the third point, very quickly, I'll wrap it up, is the matter of public good. And by that, the first consideration should be the interest of the residents living within the vicinity of the proposed plan itself, not people living 5 miles away. A vast majority of us are opposed to this project, and that factor has to count more than any other factor. I would ask the council members to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Andrea Carey.
Thank you very much. Okay.
No, you're good. Keep going.
Thank you very much for hearing me tonight and to voice my opposition to this project. I've lived in San Ramon and
actually since 1995, and then specifically in 2005, moved to the townhomes that are right next door to this property. So it greatly affects me. And it is just a shame because this is a beautiful area with trees, mature trees, and it is definitely of historical significance, which we've heard through much of the reporting that we've heard through listening to this, how this application has been looked at with as far as a historical look at this property specifically, and how the applicant wants to restore the property will not be the way that I think it should be restored for the enjoyment of the community. Second point that I think is really important is many others, my neighbors have brought up the traffic concerns. Well, not only is San Ramon Valley Boulevard a very, very busy boulevard that's would pose a lot of danger to the residents of this assisted living facility. It would also really be a detriment to the bikers that are on that road. And it also would definitely be create more traffic in aggregate than what we currently have, which is a big concern. Thirdly, I think it's really important to think about the fact that, this specific location for this facility is not, would not really make sense and fit in the community, whereas there's been other points that development does happen in San Ramon, but not.
I need you to wrap up.
And just to wrap up, like other areas that we've developed for the good of the city, like Cal High, have been in a better location and make sense. This doesn't. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. You want to sit over here? Sorry, it was just ripe for the taking.
Yes. Mayor and council, I want to thank you so much for what you're doing. Agree, disagree. San Ramon is based on the fact that we care as
Wait a
residents.
minute, wait. You have to start the timer.
Thank you.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You interrupted me, so
Yes,
therefore
yeah,
I get
I-
an extra. Okay.
None.
As a resident of City of San Ramon for over 40-some years, there have been many projects back and forth. Some of the projects that then really have been opposed have been the hospital, the police station, and all of these. And we learned one thing. We have to be in charge of our own destiny. That's why I support this. Because if you don't, we have seen the ramifications of that. Local control. We no longer have local control. It is controlled by the state. We have to understand that. The residents, I feel their pain. I've opposed a lot of things. I opposed the hospital. But for the good of the city, if the hospital is there, you make the best of it. It's imperative that we understand the ramifications of what we do. The city council is one thing. You go after the elected officials in Sacramento. Local control is ultimate. We need to pass this because if we don't pass it, the state will come in and do what they want to do with our city. And I hear from a lot of residents, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Everyone should do their homework, understand the ramifications of what happens. Not everyone's going to like this, what happens in the city, but the city as a whole, we have to work together or we can just defer all of our influence and power to Sacramento. I will speak when this comes up again, but again, thank you. And I urge everyone to do your homework, understand what's going on and move forward. We don't agree with you all the time, but we laud you for being here in San Ramon and sitting there because I've sat there and I prefer being out here.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Carol Rowley.
I wanted to hit him with that timer. And I say this not flippantly, but it is very difficult to get up and speak, and we do recognize that. And I don't sit there and say, try to wrap it up to be, nasty or ornery. And it helps in many respects to focus on what you're really trying to get out. And that's what we're looking for. What are you really trying to tell us? And is it any different than what we've been hearing before? Because we may have missed something. Okay, Councilmember Riley.
Thank you. Well, Mayor, council members and staff, it's my pleasure to be here tonight. Carol Rowley, 52-year resident of San Ramon, and I've seen changes. We moved in when San Ramon had a very low population, and look at it now. I've been on the city council. I've been other things also, but now I'm president of the San Ramon Historic Foundation. And we've been working for 20 years to get the El Nido. Would we please, have somebody come forward? And then Soheil came forward, and he is going to restore it on his own dime. It's not going to cost the city or the residents anything. I think we should approve the West Side specific plan and just go forward. They're talking about no on El Nido, but El Nido will really enhance that area. You might not feel it now, but there's going to be underground parking. It's for assisted residents. Most of them do not drive, so you're not going to have worrying about skateboarding residents out of the assisted living or skating or whatever. It's going to be a quiet place. The Historic Foundation is really devoted to helping Soheil. The inside will be more like a museum with different pictures of what the El Nido looked like in the early days. And Bill Harlan, who is now is a resident in the Valley, remembers going there to his grandfather's house and what it felt like. So he's going to bring a lot of his artifacts too. So it'll be another historic place. The El Nido is the oldest residence in San Ramon, and I want to preserve it. So I'm very much in favor of approving the West Side specific plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Aruj Gulzar.
Thank you for your time, council members. I'm here to oppose my opposition or to voice my opposition to the amendments being proposed to the El Nido project, mainly because the amendments do not allow for the amendments changes that allow for higher densities are not accounted for in fire station unit number 34, which is zoned for our area in their insurance liabilities, which are currently at 4.5 million. In the past, the fire station has had to increase their insurance liability due to existing obligations, and the changes in the increase in density will only make it that much more likely that there will be needs of emergencies, and i.e. more cases of injuries occurring, and where our liability will likely need to be used. And none of that is currently being accounted for in Fire Station Unit 34's liability insurance. And currently the fire station will not have adequate paramedic units to cover our area if we allow for additional residents to be allowed in the nursing home as the amendments is requesting, and which might jeopardize the fire station unit 34's compliance with HIPAA. And I know that I heard great things about the underground parking space, bringing new vibrancy to our neighborhood. But one thing that I do want to point out, that it also jeopardizes the foundation of our entire community, which already has a creek that runs completely through it, and allowing to be this huge parking space to be built literally adjacent to our community puts our entire land movement issues at risk. And lastly, I really would appreciate if we focus more on the park space and keeping the area more green for the community, because I speak for myself and my toddler who's here. We would appreciate to have a park in the neighborhood, and continue with why residents like myself that recently moved to the area, why we're moving as new families. We want more greenery, and this will detract new residents from coming to our neighborhood in general. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Greg Carr.
Mayor Carr.
Good evening, City Council. All the folks behind me, I feel for you. In a perfect world, it'd be nice to have a park there. There's nobody in this room that has more credentials of the environment or park than Greg Carr. The only other one in this city that does is Jim Blickenstaff, and he can't be here tonight. But there's such a thing as reality, unfortunately. And the reality is that life is imperfect. Governments are imperfect. Things are just imperfect. If you want to see imperfect, look at what's going on in the Ukraine right now. My God, that's the height of imperfect. But there's imperfect right here. One imperfect is SB 330. Some of you say, well, we know about SB 330. Congratulations. But the thing you don't know about it is, just like former Mayor Wilson said, it limits you, it limits control. The other thing is, in perfect worlds, is the city chose to not change the specific plan to conform to the general plan. But the applicant purchased the property. There are such things in this imperfect world called property rights. He has them. And he has the power on his side, and he has the government on his side. So I urge you to think about realities. You've got some choices. You can buy the park at market value. City can buy it at market value. Or he can put in an old folks home for people like me. I don't plan to go there too soon, but let's just talk about that. And so what I urge you to think about is reality and the imperfections of life. And the other thing is, there are people up for election. If they decide to vote against this, they need to be very careful, especially those who have not been elected. They need to be understanding of the realities of what that means. That means a lot of money going out the door in lawsuits. So thank you. Good evening.
Next speaker, please.
Lokesh Shamana.
Mayor, council members, thanks for giving me an opportunity to speak here.
Okay.
I've been renting a property in Centennial Way for about 6 years, before which my wife and I, who's here, decided to buy a property. We thought it's a beautiful area, nice residency. We have a 6-year-old, great place for her to play, meet her friends. This project will bring an end to all of it. The parking, which is going to cause a big problem for kids to play around. I just honestly hope that you listen to the residents around it. I have been going around speaking to every single resident there. 94% of residents don't want this project approved. So I'm just urging you to listen to the people who live in the neighborhood, not 5 miles away, not 10 miles away, 100 meters away, 10 meters away, 50 meters away. We are the ones who are going to get affected. So I honestly hope that you listen to the residents rather than listening to someone who wants to establish a profit-making business. I understand he's bought the property, he owns the property, but that does not mean he can build a Taj Mahal there. So it needs to be done in appropriation to the people who live around it, because it's going to cause a lot of challenges to the people who live around it in the vicinity, 10 meters, 50 meters, 100 meters away. So I urge you strongly to consider and listen to the people who live around there before you make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Iqbal Rashid.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Honorable Mayor, respected City Council. Thank you so much for allowing me time to speak. I want to take a moment to congratulate the graduates of the Government 101. I think it was a good, it's a good course, but I have a couple of questions about the course. Does the course teach those graduates that the government is of the people, for the people, and by the people? We are the people, okay? Does it teach the reason why we should have a specified number of parking spots in a designated construction area so we can adequately accommodate that construction? Does it teach the differences between a residential area and a commercial area? Does it teach the importance of green space and open spaces? Does it teach the reason why public comments are invited? I'm here to communicate to you guys that we are here to communicate our grievances to this construction. We have so many people representing you against this project. Please listen to us. I'm here to communicate my strong opposition. I live right across the construction site. My home number is 10 Centennial Way, and I will be most impacted by anybody else. This is a residential area, and you're pushing a commercial project into it. And I would like to comment on the gentleman who spoke a few minutes earlier about reality. Okay, we are the ones who make this reality. It's in your hands. Talking about reality, there are ways we could do this. We could talk about sponsorship for a park. There are ways, if there's a will, there can always be a way. But I want you to keep an open mind, listen to us, listen to the residents who are around that area and how strongly we are feeling against this construction. So please pay attention. I don't want to go over my time. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
That was the last public comment card, but we do have hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, let's take them now.
San Ramon resident.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Thank you for the opportunity. I am a Centennial Way resident and I've lived here since 2015. I have attended all the meetings regarding this proposed project. The original meeting was in 2019, where the developer gave a commitment to move this historic home off this property. That commitment has not been fulfilled, and instead it's been a game of switch and bait, to say it kindly. It's a large commercial facility. We've been proposing our alternatives to maybe reduce the size to 2 stories, maybe reduce the amount of beds from 82. I understand this facility needs to be profitable, but at what cost? The community that this facility is impacting has been speaking up throughout the entire course of these meetings that you've held publicly. We've all have communicated our opposition and articulated the reasons why it seems that it's not getting through the city council and the official that are supposed to represent us. The city needs to consider the alternatives. It's quite clear that the mayor is in favor of this, has green-lighted this, and now we just have to go through the procedures, and that should not be the way. The perception alone is dangerous, and have you heard by many people, that's the perception that we have. I don't want to get into philosophical reasoning of how the process should work, and I understand the boogeyman. I will wrap it up. I understand the boogeyman SB law, that's the alternative, but that's not a way to get something approved by scare tactics and presenting the alternatives. Why can't we all come together and reduce the size of this project so at least the neighborhood could get behind it, support it, because this is just the beginning. We all need to coexist and live together and the neighborhood could make it just as difficult as the developer is making it for the neighborhood. Thank you for the time.
Yep. Next.
Call-in user.
Okay. Take 2 minutes, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I appreciate everyone's perspective. However, I am very disappointed that the staff still failed to provide a water study for this project. We all know that water is very scarce, and today at the supervisors meeting, the supervisors were talking about the Delta water is going to be drained even more for good taste. For those people who are lucky enough to receive East Bay mud water, I don't. I personally pay $500 to $700 annually on water softener and drinking water filters in my house, even though I belong to the city of San Ramon, but I'm not really part of city San Ramon. I also learned that most of you, I cannot vote anymore. That's why you don't really give a care about what we think. However, the staff, you are still paid with my taxes. And when I have repeatedly told you in the past to please check in with water supply so that we don't put in more people, and in the end, we will all have to deal with water shortage and fault each other or kill each other just to live. I really, really feel that you guys have dropped the ball. I don't feel any sincerity coming from the city staff. And, of course, I don't even want to talk about Perkins, those people I can even vote. But at least, to be fair, Mayor has been, I know he is leaning towards approving it, but that's only because he doesn't want other projects from the Sacramento that will be imposing on us with even more density. So just to be fair, I understand, Mayor Hudson, but, people like Councilmember Perkins, really, you amaze me. You amaze me.
Okay. Next speaker.
DePauli Poloff.
Hi, I share the wall with the property, and I have high concern about the fault line which is passing through the San Ramon Boulevard, and because the foundation is going to go down on the other side of the wall. So in future, what effect the houses which we are staying will have, it is a big safety concern. Second thing is during the construction, lot of noise pollution because of the hybrid work in COVID time and all. The kids have a lot of safety concerns because of this. And once the building is built, there will be definitely the problem along with the privacy, because we are sharing the wall. So there are lots of concern, and that's why I oppose this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Iram Centennial Neighbor.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So I just want to share, I've been participating in the hearings and I've been doing as much reading as possible. And I really hope that what I'm going to say and what I've continued to say is being heard. So, are we being heard? We've submitted over 200 written letters, and that means residents that are within a 1 mile ratio of this project. Have you seen those 200 letters? I really hope that you have, because we've all itemized the objections that have been come before you and then some. We've tried to give you all arguments from actual neighbors who live, like I said, within a mile of this project. So I just want to point out that the council members, some of us here today, including the mayor, are up for re-election. Some of you have also won your election with less than like 70 votes. You know, it's all over San Ramon News. So I'm talking about 200 residents. Please know that we're watching. We continue to watch. We continue to call in. We continue to participate. And we still, whether we're here or not, we want to make sure that we're heard because it's very important to us. And we do appreciate having a platform to also voice those opinions. But this developer is just trying to bulldoze us. He's trying to maximize on the land that's there. And of course he owns it. But what's happening is unfair. These zoning changes, the floor area ratios, the amendments that he's asking for. So I urge you to just please consider where we're coming from. You know, they're only saving like a staircase and a couple of planks. And this house is getting moved to face the busy street, but it's going to be not restored, it's going to be rebuilt. And I think that people need to understand that as well. So thank you for your time. I know my time is up and I oppose this project. I just want to make sure that's clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Dora Daniel.
Dora.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I have called in for every meeting just to say I oppose this project. It's kind of obvious every time I call in, council members are all for it because it sounds like that every time we speak. We tell you guys what our concerns are, why we are not happy with it. To look at it like everyone said, look at it from our point of view. We are the ones living here. You guys are not living here. You have to understand how we are looking at it. But for some reason, it doesn't seem that all of y'all understand what the residents are trying to tell y'all or to inform y'all that this is going to be very difficult for us because we are living here, not y'all who are making the decision. So anyway, I just oppose this project. I just want to say that. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Michelle.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity to address my concerns regarding this project. I live on Centennial Way, and in the past, I've expressed safety concerns of seniors should this project be approved. I oppose this project. Tonight, I come to the applicant and City of San Ramon to request a compromise that would be beneficial to the applicant and our entire community. He has said in the past he was willing to work with us. I'm requesting that instead of a commercial assisted living facility, that a townhomes would be considered, similar to what is in the adjacent property. The historical house will not be enjoyed by the community as it's planned to be a kitchen and offices for the facility. At this point, you may as well build a monument with pictures of the home to mark the historical site, since no one will be able to visit on a regular basis like you would a museum. This would be a win-win for all. We do not need to amend anything, no bike lanes removed, no traffic, zoning, hazards to the community or seniors. This would allow more needed housing, a huge profit to the applicant since the townhomes are going for 1.3 million in the area, and more revenue for the city of San Ramon. The neighborhood would be able to keep its residential look and feel and ensure the applicant could get deposits from buyers before the homes are even constructed. Although I had hoped for a park and a true preservation of the house, like a museum that people could visit on a regular basis or field trips, whatever, I feel that this compromise would better suit the community as a whole instead of one individual person's interest. I believe that if the city of San Ramon really cares about the citizens and the community, that they would only allow townhomes similar in aesthetics to be constructed on this property, especially if a park and true restoration of that home as a museum for all to visit and enjoy is no longer an option. I oppose this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Caller. Okay, and we do have 3 or 4 written. We did receive ones from Annette and Richard. I have one from Jim Blickenstaff, and Dan Amato, and Anthony, I think you spoke tonight too. So we did get all the written here. I would leave it as, we don't have any other, is there a motion to close the public hearing? We have a motion, Perkins, you the mover, and a second, Zafar. Is there any further discussion on closing the public hearing? Seeing none, let's vote. And who did we miss? 4 or 5? Oh. Shridhar did. You? Oh, you're still waiting for the display? Yeah, go ahead. And the second was from Sabina. Okay, that's 5 out of 5 vote, and that's just to close the public hearing. All right. Now the matter is, let me get caught up in the matters before the council for further discussion. Who wants to kick it off? Speakers. I have no speakers in the queue. I'll start down on the right. I see her moving her hand. Sabina, do you have any comments?
So in today's meeting, is this our last meeting?
Unless we do extend it.
Okay.
This meets the requirement for the last meeting.
So first of all, I want to thank all the speakers that have come out tonight, waited patiently to speak and express their opinions, both for and against the project. Hearing you loud and clear. I just want to say that sometimes we make decisions here in City Hall that are tough. Personal opinions don't matter for us. And we are not able to make everybody happy with our decisions in the near term. But the decisions we make today are not going to impact the near term. It is going to impact the future of our beautiful city. As your council, it is important for you to understand that the city needs to provide both housing and places for people to live throughout the city. As you're all aware, California is going through a major housing crisis. Homelessness is an issue in California. Home affordability is becoming a challenge. And those of us in San Ramon are fortunate, our house prices are going up, but that also means that the community is becoming harder and harder for people to live in and move. Along with that, the over 65 population in California is expected to rise by 87% by the year 2030. Although San Ramon's population has doubled in the last 16 years that I have lived here in the city has become more and more desirable for people to move here year after year. Preserving the El Nido House is an important preservation goal for the city and for the history of this community. And this will actually add more value to the neighborhood than less value. We have been very tough on developers. Over the past years, we've held the developer accountable to a number of high standards, made sure that the city's development and architectural standards are met. I have heard you. I've heard everybody loud and clear, but I need to make sure that I represent all residents of San Ramon. So just want to make that.
Anyone else wish to speak? Probably get a comment from everybody who wants to jump in next. Everybody jumping right to the forefront. I just want to remind everyone, we're not doing the project tonight. This is the amendment to the specific plan, which I think everyone knows. I don't want to make light of. They were talking about the project. But tonight we're being asked to approve the West Side specific plan amendments and an amendment to the West Side Plan development standards and zoning regulations. And I think my personal, I will support that. I think it's within reason. I understand why some people, if you tell people that you think we're proceeding in a certain way, that's taking a vote ahead of time. We're not going to be the ones, I don't even know if it'll get to us on the project. I did have one question that I didn't get answered. I'm sorry I didn't ask it. And I'm looking to see if Lauren can answer it, or if Sohail can answer it. Is this a closed project? Like the assisted livings that I know I had to with relatives, you had to have the security code to get out of the thing. Are we talking about that kind of a facility offhand? And I closed the public hearing, so I can't do it. But is there, well, Sohail, I didn't give you a chance. Is this a closed facility that you're planning? And this is really not part of the amendment, but I had it on my mind. If I didn't ask it, I didn't ask it.
Mayor, I need to understand what you mean by closed facility.
Well, the ones that I've gone to have code so that people can't just go in and go out. Once you're in there, you're assisted. I mean, the people are there, period. They're not going unless they check out with a family member or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, they do check out with the staff, but so understand, we have two type of residents. We have relatively healthy residents that are there for assisted living facility, and then there are people who are sort of early stage dementia tenants.
Yeah.
Now, so there's a distinction there. So there's not a free movement for everybody. Those people who are they fall into that early stage dementia category, they will be required to go move in and out in a very controlled fashion.
Okay.
The other tenants, yes, they will have a process to check in and check out. And most of the time, we are providing shuttle services. So if they are leaving the facility, they're escorted by our staff to church services for shopping or other recreational activities.
Okay. I'm sorry, I know I skirted the rules quite a bit there, but if I didn't ask the question when I asked it, I was never going to get the answer. And I just, for some reason, something triggered with what I was hearing from the people and just didn't have it down how to ask the question at the same time. So thank you for giving me that answer.
Sure.
Go ahead, Scott.
I really want to thank council members for very thoughtful comments. And we make very hard decisions here at council. Been making many hard decisions for many, many years. Mayor Hudson's been doing this a little longer than I, but the fact is that some of these decisions will have some impact on the local residents. And the one that comes directly to mind is when we had the police department move in next to the, what's that, Enchanted Forest neighborhood.
I forgot the name of it. But
Yeah, that's one of the streets in that neighborhood. And the people were very, very concerned that we would be releasing all kinds of criminals into their community and that the officers would go blasting out of there, sirens blazing. The fact of the matter is that the officers are already patrolling your neighborhood and they don't work out of the police department like a fire department goes blasting out. If you live next to a fire station, you'll probably hear more sirens. But the fact of the matter is those neighbors are now very happy to be living next to a police station. I know Mayor Wilson, I think Councilmember Rowley was probably on the council at that time, and they have a lower crime rate. Robbers know that you don't go do crimes right next to police stations. Now, that's not the situation for you. And the point is we hear a lot of issues raised. And one of them that disturbs me time after time, and this comes up on many, many projects, is kids playing on the street and how dangerous it will be. You know, the traffic situation will be a real impediment to kids playing on the street. Now, I'll be honest, when I grew up, we played on the street. But as I see a former councilman Carr going, yeah, we played on the street. And when we saw a car coming, everybody in the street yelled, car, and everybody moved onto the sidewalk. But playing on the street shouldn't be a reason for either having or not having a project. East Bay Mud has committed to providing water for this facility. And by law, they must. And also by law, the city cannot consider access to water. It is strictly the purview of the water district, whether you live in Zone 7 DSRSD or you live in East Bay Mud. Water is the issue for the district, not the city. The earthquake fault was mentioned. Now, the earthquake fault, there is the Calaveras fault runs on the east side of the freeway. Fortunately, it does not run through this property. It runs a further west up the hill a little bit is where that fault is. I know that because I live about 100 yards from that fault, and so I know where the fault is. Now, people have said, have you read the letters? And the answer is yes, I've read the letters. I've read the letters, I've listened to the comments, and I am sympathetic to the issues. But as was pointed out, property owners have property rights as well. And as the property owner, he could build a park there if he wanted. That would be a very expensive park to be a private park for his own purposes. So I don't see that happening. And there was somebody here who said, gee, we could collect money and make it a park. Well, I didn't see much effort in that from the people who live in Centennial and the people who live in the townhomes nearby to actually collect money or at least collect pledges to buy that property. So it comes back to the property owner. And so we have to consider the overall value of this amendment and what the amendment can lead to in the overall context of the city. I think about people who live across the street from Cal High. Talk about traffic impacts. There's probably no neighborhood in this city that has bigger traffic impacts than if you live adjacent to Cal High or one of its access roads. Everybody has some access or contribution, if you will, to the city as a whole. The neighborhood I live in is the access to a Bishop Ranch open space. There are people who park in my front yard and walk to the Bishop Ranch open space. I think it's a really good thing to live nearby the Bishop Ranch open space. I use it. And the few people who park there are usually courteous and they're there for a few hours and then leave. But all in all, everybody makes some sacrifice at some level to make this city a better city. Whether you live next to the fire station, the elementary school, the high school, or you live nearby a assisted living facility with 84 residents who don't drive. And I want to thank Councilmember Safar for very thoughtful comments.
Vice Mayor Burrows.
Thank you, Mayor Hudson. First of all, thank you for coming here and providing your comments, feedback. I know it's Tuesday. Pretty much all of you have kids. Tomorrow you have work. You have to take care of your kids tomorrow morning. Like every parent here, I'm also a parent of a kid who plays in the street. He's a 6th grader. I understand what exactly you mean, the safety of your kids. And also understand your concerns, especially when this project is coming into your backyard, right? So you're anxious about all these new things that is coming up into your neighborhood which you never thought about. But, as someone mentioned, is this government is of the people, by the people, for the people, right? It is, because when as a city council, when we sit here and when we envision our city, how it is going to be built, how we are going to provide services to our residents, we have to think in holistic approach. We cannot keep thinking within a pocket of each individual community. When we run for election, even I heard somebody mentioning about election and all that, right? So we don't run election just based on a project or based on certain individual aspects, right? We run elections and we try to represent you so that we can justify our community requirements to be implemented with a vision. We cannot think about just short term and then make the policies here. So we need to think in a holistic way. And as I said, I totally understand your concerns, especially about the traffic, about water scarcity, safety and security, about your kids who are playing in the street. Again, that can be a problem, right? So, and also about the wall, if it is broken, and the San Ramon Boulevard. So I hear everything that is mentioned in this comments and your worries. As Councilmember Jaffer and Councilmember Perkins mentioned, in the past, similar projects happened where we had a lot of feedback like this. I wasn't on the council, but believe me, in Doherty Valley, for example, Walgreens.
Yes.
Walgreens was, there was a major concern raised by the residents that having a Walgreens in neighborhood create a huge crime rate increase in the neighborhood. And today, that same neighborhood, when I walk and talk, they are appreciating Walgreens having in their neighborhood so that they can pick their prescription without issues. You know, it's not just about today or tomorrow. We need to envision what we are going to build our city for future. And also you see that one of the biggest thing of San Ramon is growing senior population. You say every year, we have the percentage increase in San Ramon for senior population is coming up. So where they're going to live? There are kids who want to have their parents to be next to their house, but they cannot because they don't have any place to live. In 2018 or 2019, I was on a scouts as a den leader. I attended one of the assisted living facility. You know, all the people there are around 70 plus. Not even their kids were there during their Christmas time because their kids living further away from their living assisted facilities. So we need to think whoever worked so hard for us in the past for years and years, today they are looking forward to have a senior housing within the community where they grew up. Who is responsible for that? We all are supposed to be responsible. We need to take care of our seniors. They are the one who built all this beautiful San Ramon for us to live today. And if we today say that, no, we cannot help you, you cannot live here, that's not our responsibility. It is that's as a citizen or as a resident of San Ramon, it is our fundamental duty to see how we can provide that facility for our seniors to live in the community they built, the community they loved, the community that they gave it to us. That's how I see it. So being specific about this amendment, I want to proceed with it, but at the same time, when the project comes onto the table, I definitely want to see all your concerns are addressed, whether it comes to the traffic, whether it comes to the water scarcity, safety, security, especially about the kids. I want to make sure that is addressed. All your concerns are addressed when the project is submitted. And there should be a clarity on those. Then only we'll move forward with the project. But with this amendment, I think there is a very good reason. And also another thing is this is more like a paperwork. This is more like a paperwork. This is a general plan is already approved. Supposed to be, this is a correction that's supposed to be done long time back. Somebody just kicked the can down the road to us. And we cannot keep on putting things in the status quo. It's time to fix these kind of issues so that our next generation should not face these kind of problems, right? So as a community together, please think about how we are going to help and support the people who built for us this San Ramon. Thank you once again for coming here and giving your comments and feedback.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Last chance, Mark, anything you want to say before we ask for a motion?
Sure. I'd like also thank all the speakers that we've had tonight and all those who provided written comments. We have heard you loud and clear. We've listened closely. A lot of the comments have been passionate, both for and against. And we've heard what the applicant has to say. We've heard the city staff. We've heard our planning commissioners. And keeping in mind that this is about an amendment to the West Side specific plan and the CEQA evaluation, not the specifics of the project, I'll offer a couple thoughts. One is the basic criteria that I was considering was trying to determine if an amendment to the West Side specific plan
might have a significant adverse impact on the health, safety, or welfare of the neighborhood or the city at large. And I've heard the comments and the concerns regarding health, safety, and welfare, but I don't find that there would be any significant detrimental objective impacts if the West Side Specific Plan Amendment is approved. While I said my consideration is about the proposed specific plan amendment, we wouldn't be talking about this if we didn't find ourselves in a position of having a specific plan that's not consistent with our general plan. And that's brought about due to the project being brought forward. I've heard many residents believe that they have a park there, but that site is not part of our long-term parks master plan. I don't believe is envisioned to be a city park. And the current approved general plan, the land use designation as a single family, medium density residential, I think is an appropriate designation for that area. So personally, I find that the proposed changes to amend the West Side Specific Plan are reasonable. And I think that will make the West Side Specific Plan consistent with the general plan. And I intend to support the amendment.
Okay. Any further discussion or motion on this item?
I'd like to move approval of resolution 2022-057, approving West Side Specific Plan Amendment and project initial study, mitigated negative declaration, and adoption of ordinance 514, amending the West Side Specific Plan, development standards and zoning regulations.
Okay, we have a motion. Perkins, who was the second? I don't see it there. Okay. You guys are too quick for me. That's 5 out of 5 in the vote. And I don't say that's unanimous. It passes. Once again, thank you everyone for coming out. I'm sure that there will be more people coming as the project proceeds. But I think you heard a lot of good reasons for, as well as the reasons you gave against to proceed. Unfortunately, the ones that probably were the least you wanted to hear are there's a lot changing in this state. And maybe I'm too personally close to this kind of assisted living because, like many of you, I've had to deal with it. I mean, the need is so great for this that we're going to be making a lot of changes to make sure that we have this part of our community cared for. And I think you stated it very well, Vice Mayor Barros. Anyway, let's give everybody a chance to move out. I don't know if they want to stick around for item 9.2. That's a public hearing resolution number 2022-58, establishing fees and charges for various municipal services for fiscal year 2022-2023. And repealing resolution number 2021-058. If this takes more than 10 or 15 minutes, I'll ask for your indulgence. Would you like to take 5 if we take longer than 5 or 10 for this? Look at that. Keep it in mind. We'll see. Christina, you have the floor on this one, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, go
Thank
for it.
you. Good evening. Every year, staff reviews the fees and charges as part of the overall budget process and makes recommendations related to fees and charges to the city council. The proposed fee resolution before you this evening was taken to the Finance Committee on March 7th of 2022, and the committee did not have any recommended changes to the fees and charges. And on March 22nd, the City Council introduced the resolution and set the public hearing date for this evening. So tonight, staff is recommending that the council open the public hearing, take public comments, close the public hearing, and adopt resolution number 2022-058, establishing fees and charges for fiscal year 2022-23 and repealing resolution 2021-058.
Okay, any questions of staff? Seeing none, just to keep the thing moving, I'll move to open the public hearing. Okay. Okay, and we got a vote on that. All right, everybody wants to open it, so let's end the vote. That's 5 out of 5. Public Public comment. Do we have any speaker cards to speak on this tonight?
I did not receive any public comment cards, but we did receive a written public comment from Jim Blicken's staff that I did provide to you.
Yes.
And was sent to the council as well. And it does not look like we have any hands raised on Zoom at this time.
Okay. Is there anyone left from the public? Seeing no one wants to speak to us tonight on this, we'll close the public hearing. No, we have the motion and we voted to open the public hearing. The public comment, I should say, is closed. Thank you for catching that. Go ahead.
Martin, for clarification, do we need to close the public hearing?
Oh,
for this
you're
item?
right. Thank you, Scott. I'm sorry. I'm brain dead on this. I thought we did it.
This is a public hearing, so we do need a motion to close it. Okay.
You just did. Yeah.
I heard the question. I just thought I'd answer it
Thank you.
for the record.
No, we got them all written here. Sabina was the mover, Sridhar was the seconder, and we got 5 out of 5 to close the thing. And we don't have anybody for the public comment. Gosh, we are moving right along. Discussion, anyone want to hear from, gosh, anybody even give us a report? Oh, Christina did. Any comments on the fees? Seeing none?
I'll move the resolution.
That's 2022-59, authorized, oh, that's a different one. I'm even getting ahead of mine. Yep, this is for resolution number 58. Keep going back. All right, here we are. We have a motion from Perkins and a second from Zafar. And 3 out of 5 are voted. Who's left?
Yeah, well, I'll just say from a discussion perspective, we had received written comment on this, and I think it's something to consider perhaps in the future, taking a look at the fee to appeal a planning commission decision, the dollar amount, as well as whether or not that should be a refundable if the appeal is won, then whether or not that fee might be refundable back to the appellant. So that's not going to stop me from voting tonight, but I think it might be something we'd want to take up in the future.
We did have a discussion when we implemented the 2,500 and what it costs staff and, staff time and council time and everything else. But you make a good point about if somebody wins their appeal, should they or should they not? Maybe that goes to the policy committee.
After we get this vote, I'm going
After
to
we
make
get
a
the vote.
comment on this. I'm
Okay.
just waiting for Mark.
You have 5 votes?
Yes, 5 out of 5. Actually, that's the comment I was going to make afterwards. If you can, the policy committee, take a look at the things that were in that letter, if you want to discuss it, but we do it as an agendized item at policy.
Okay.
So that the person who wrote it in can come in and give his reasons why.
Sure.
And all we're doing is restating why it's 2,500. But that's also a decision that we may decide that, so be it. Anyway, that was not the agenda item, it was the fees, and your point well taken. If policy wants to take a look at it, you two are it.
Yep.
You decide to do it. All right, keeping moving right along.
Through the mayor, before we move on, we do have someone with their hand raised, and I just want to
Oh, they
clarify
did?
that the city council did open the public hearing and close the public
Yes.
hearing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, are we on to 10.1?
Yeah.
Through with all the 9s? That moved pretty quick, so I think we can keep going. How about a resolution number 2022-59, authorizes the city manager to execute a license agreement with Smart Outdoors for sponsored trail signage service. Keith,
Yes, sir.
you're up.
Thank you. I do. I have a visual. I'm not sure exactly where to put it so you all can see it. So.
You haven't seen the way they do that on
You
the
can-
streets? Or
You can walk down. You can walk it.
no, they're looking up there.
You can turn it around. Actually, yeah, you guys can pass it down. It's let me, don't hurt yourself.
Okay.
Do you know this Lucas guy?
Actually, I know a Lucas Haas, my nephew, but that is not this Lucas Haas.
Oh, interesting.
Very
Okay.
interesting, because
Yeah.
I did see the hiring and I'm like, that's interesting. He's only a high school graduate. I didn't know we were hiring them,
Yeah.
but clearly not.
Okay.
Now that we've taken you completely off of what you're going to talk about, go ahead.
Oh, F5.
Mhm.
There we go. Okay, now they're supposed to. Okay, thank you for having me this evening. Tonight's presentation for the mayor and council is a presentation simply to share some information with you on a partnership to replace our current trail signage and increase safety on the San Ramon trails. As you probably know, the San Ramon's overall trail system consists of approximately 50 miles, but part of that is East Bay Regional Trails, as well as some of those trails fall on HOA, as well as PG&E property. The city trails themselves, I guess, equal or total roughly 30, low 30 miles in distance. On the city-owned trails, the standard signage you will see includes your basic trail rules and trail markers. In a collaborative effort between public services and the Parks Community Service staff, we identify signs that potentially need maintenance, need to be replaced, and then obviously public services works to get those replaced quickly. This next slide is simply a representation of what we currently have out on the trails. On your left is our standard rule sign. And then to your right, we have two different types of trail markers. One is made in the center. That center picture is a composite material with yellow lettering. The one on the right is a wood post with white writing that is also engraved. So you can see we don't have necessarily a set standard. Those posts that are being put in are put out there by the developers. And as we know, to maintain or replace existing signage, let alone upgrade an entire trail system, comes with a substantial price tag. This is where I'd like to introduce Smart Outdoor, Inc. The company's mission is to renew and refresh trail systems in a way that promotes smart and safe recreation enjoyment for all users at no cost to the partner agency. And they do this in two significant ways. First, through the installation of smart, sustainable safety signs and trail markers linked to 911 dispatch. And second, through hosting a mobile application with information that is provided by city staff. This next slide is simply their renderings, some of their mock-ups as to what those potential signs that you would see through a partnership would be. On your left-hand side is a trailhead rule sign. That is the largest one that would be kept for large areas where we have parking or parking lots. The middle one is your traditional trail marker. Your one on the right, after they've actually already visited San Ramon out from New York, and they took a look at our walking district master plan. And part of that was they came up and looked at this directional sign and think that this may be a very good option, the one on the right, for our trails out in Doherty Valley, especially because they are intricate. And one will be continuing down a street, makes a hard left, and then if you went straight, you're now onto another trail. And so a sign like this would definitely help with that. All signs and markers incorporate 911 info. So if a resident had to call, emergency responders would know exactly where that marker is located through their dispatch system. And finally, a QR code with a link to the mobile app is on all of the signs. This is just a mock-up of what the mobile app may look like. It allows providers with safety information. We could have local weather on there, as well as local events or activities and other information that is determined by city staff. So we could take a number of things out of our activity guides, things coming up on weekends, we could actually ping it so that in different parts of the city, different announcements come up. So we, as the city staff, would determine what goes on that mobile app. Initially, staff does recommend operating both Smart Outdoors mobile app as well as the Outer Spatial wayfinding app concurrently. We've spent a lot of time on the Outer Spatial app. We've gotten residents used to using that. And so I think they would actually feed off of each other because the Smart Outdoor app, at least initially, has a much different feel and potentially a slightly different purpose. We could use it differently. As the Smart Outdoor app allows staff to advertise upcoming programs, events, and providing important notices. Okay, so maybe the more important pieces of the project. Smart Outdoor will work with city staff to determine appropriate types of sponsors and then work to secure sponsorships that fund the entire project. And that means sponsorships would fund the design, the fabrication, the installation, and the maintenance of all signage placed out on our trails for as long as the city has an agreement with Smart Outdoor, Inc. In addition, the city will receive 25 to 30% of all overall net profits generated by those sponsorships. It is anticipated the city would receive an estimated $100,000 over the course of the initial agreement.
How long is the initial agreement?
5 years.
Like 20,000 a year.
As with any type of sponsorship, there is always some type of recognition of the sponsoring company. In this case, you can see on the slide how it would be used on the different types of slides. Trailhead signs have roughly a 20% space at the bottom of the total sign is dedicated to no more than 2 sponsors, one on either side at the bottom of that sign. While a mileage marker, the typical 4x4 or 6x6 on your left-hand side of your screen, has roughly a 4x4 sponsor logo affixed to it. So you can see it doesn't necessarily detract. It's maybe not even the first thing that you see. But the sponsor does get the recognition for helping place those signs out there. Okay, so to summarize the partnership, Smart Outdoor would secure sponsorship funding, which is in line with the City Council's desire for corporate sponsorships for city amenities, as well as Smart Outdoor would provide a comprehensive sign proposal, a plan as to how they envision the different types of signs are used on nearly 30 city-owned trails. Smart Outdoor will cover all expenses, and keeping in mind that a single trail is at a minimum approximately a $20,000 expense, with one access point sign on one end and a mileage marker identifying it as the end of the trail. So between those two, it's roughly $20,000. They will also maintain all signs for the life of the agreement once they are in place, or as long as the agreement is in place. The city realizes no expenditures, no general fund expenditures, no CIP expenditures. The city realizes 25 to 30% revenue from the sponsorships. The city owns the signage at the end of the agreement. So it's at end of 5 years, end of 10 years, end of 15, whatever it is, those signs become ours. And at this point, I'm going to turn the sign around, or actually, and the first side was where sponsor was, or Kaiser was located at the bottom. It now, at the end of our sponsorship with Kaiser, we can come in and take off the Kaiser decal, and we will work with them to put in whatever type of graphic we want. And these graphics are not burned, but they're etched. They aren't etched. It's anyway, it's very permanent. And even if it is scratched or damaged in any way, it gets replaced as long as we have the agreement. This centerpiece actually comes out. It can be replaced. If we change information, something goes out of date, we can obviously go in and out with that piece. So they are willing to work with us. If the sponsor goes away, we can obviously take the sponsor off, and then we now have a very nice sign without a sponsor on it. And then obviously, part of the sponsorship is the corporate sponsor. They get the recognition. And then finally, a version of this presentation was presented to the City Council Policy Committee in January, in which staff was asked to continue working with Smart Outdoor and if feasible, secure an agreement. So we're at that point. If the council wishes, the following would take place. Staff will work to finalize the license agreement, and then several of the items on the screen would happen concurrently. Approval of the sign locations and designs, secure the sponsorship by Smart Outdoor, work with dispatch to upload information once it's all finalized, design the mobile app and its contents, and then with the install of signs and anticipated with sometime this coming fall. And with that, I will be done and I will be happy to take questions or comments or feedback.
Questions before I open the public hearing?
Yeah.
Go ahead, or public comment, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
Sorry,
Sridhar.
Okay, before public comment.
Yeah.
So thanks, Keith, for presenting. Definitely very exciting project, looks like. So the sponsorships is Sports Outdoor, they are going to bring the sponsors, or we are going to bring the sponsors?
No, Smart Outdoor works with Liquid Outdoor Media, who actually already works here in town with the city center. They are the ones that found the sponsorships and everything with the different kiosks within city center. So Smart Outdoor, with their partnership, will find all of the corporate sponsors. Now, if for some reason we have a name of a company or a business that we want them to approach, if they secure a deal with them, then we get that 30% of the net profit. If they find the sponsor, then the city receives 25% of the net profit.
Okay, that
But
sounds,
they do the work.
But is it possible, do we have a policy where if we don't want a company to be there, like for example, Kaiser looks nice there, right? Because it's health related and all that. But if they bring a sponsor that's not going to be.
We have
Rifle.
we have final say in all sponsors.
And ammunition. Okay.
Morris, no.
Right, and we are putting verbiage into the license agreement as to what is excluded from being allowed. But city staff does have final say in all sponsorships.
My next question is regarding the data. Is the data on that, is it going through our San Ramon application, or is it going to be independent application by itself?
It's independent. However, it does not collect any user information.
Oh, okay, that's fantastic. We need to make sure that information is published
right
on our application as well as on the website. Because
so for instance, when you scan the QR code, it's just like going to a restaurant these days. You scan the QR code and the restaurant menu pops up. Same thing. It simply takes you to their mobile app. There's no login, there's no membership or anything.
Sounds good. As long as they're not tracking, in any case, the application should be let the user to define whether they should be tracked or not. But we need to make sure that privacy and security is, because we don't want people to use that application and then somebody's tracking them or hack their application.
Right. The only type of tracking that there may be down the road is because it's a wayfinding app. It could track the GPS of your phone so that you know you're on the trail. Other than that, and that's simply numbers and I don't ask me.
Doesn't have identifying information.
Correct.
And you have to allow the GPS, because I just scanned it and it asks, are you okay sharing your location? So if I say no, then that it won't, I guess.
Right. You will still get all the information on the mobile app. You just may not get the mapping portion of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's make sure that all the security privacy laws are clearly mentioned in the application and also shared on the website. Thank you.
I had one question on this, Keith.
Yeah.
The 911 is up, we put it on? I mean, obviously as sponsored.
So they will do that. That all comes part of the package deal in which I've already spoken with.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
what, you probably know what I'm thinking, and correct me, I can't remember the numbers, Sabina, you'd know it. RBK's bill. Yeah. And I would wonder, because I don't know where we are on the pilot program, but I'd certainly be okay if, when we looked at it, and thought that was appropriate too. I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you-
Okay, there's no further questions. Let's open the public.
I do have
Go ahead.
one comment. I wonder if we could do something which encourages people, if you're like interested in sponsoring one of these, and because we have a lot of people that work with corporations, and who knows, somebody's like, oh, I would like to see my company's name in there, and if they're viable, it gives us another 5% if they reach out to us. Like, I don't know if they would do this, the company, but interested in sponsoring one of these, reach out to this number or something.
Yeah, use social media to encourage our local.
Yeah. If somebody's going on the trail and somewhere in there it says, hey, interested in sponsoring one of these at our trails,
And
Sunmark.
the mobile app itself will have opportunities for local businesses to post ads.
Okay.
For instance, even from the presentation earlier, we could even put into the mobile app all the nearby trash-free businesses. So all different things that we can put in there for sure.
Okay, let's open public comment. Do we have any cards?
I don't have any public speaker cards and I did not receive any written.
Okay, do we have anybody that wants to raise their hand and dial *9? And
We do have we do have a couple requests to speak on Zoom.
okay, let's bring them in.
Dinesh Govindaro.
Hi, Dinesh, you're up.
Hey, thanks. Great presentation, and I really like this is a really neat project that you're putting together. And one of the things when I was looking, when you showed the three different options out there, you really like that one with where it shows the map of the trail. I mean, someone who uses who's out there, hiking out on especially in the Doherty Valley and other trails, it's nice to be able to see kind of how that looks. So having that map available is, I think, just very, very useful to the folks that are hiking out on the trails. So I would just encourage the council to seriously look at that option as the one to put out there on those trails. And I like the one where there's a parking spot too, and where you could it has a little bit more detail, just like if you go to like a if you're out traveling and you go go visit some national parks, and they kind of have that it gives you that feel. And so I think those are some really great concepts that are being provided here, and would encourage our folks to consider those options.
Good, thank you. Next speaker. Good recommendations.
Call in user.
Yes, you have the floor.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
First of all, Doherty Valley residents pay a lot of taxes. I don't understand why you have to pimp us out to sponsorships. And maybe you guys have cooperations with outside corporate companies that will bring you donations, or maybe offer kickbacks to certain staff. I don't see why you have to pimp us out to sponsorships, and someone who is all the way out there in New York. I don't want my privacy to be compromised by these people. Now they can track us all the way from the moon if they want to. This should have been spent with my taxes from the general fund. I don't want sponsorships. The signs and all those ideas about keeping our residents safe in case of emergency sounds good, but it should not be coming from sponsors. If there is going to be any crimes, because now they're able to more efficiently track where we are, such as kidnapping, stopping on the trail, because they can now track certain people they want to hurt, or even, God forbid, we have 3 schools that are very close to the trail. Now, because of the signage, school shooting is more possible. I will hold you guys responsible. Pay for this with my taxes. Get rid of the sponsors. I don't want any of them, especially with the lot, city center. They're from San Francisco. There's a bunch of other foreign entities who would love to get a hold of where we are and perform crimes. Stop this. Fund this with my money. I don't want you to pimp me out. Or if there's any security and safety and property violation or even school shooting, I will hold you responsible.
Thank you. Any further speakers?
We do have one request to speak in the audience. Marisol Rubio.
Kick him out of the way. He can come back. Okay, Marisol.
Thank you. I just had a quick question, actually. I was wondering, does this technology allow you to report any concerns you observe along the trail?
Oh, wait, Marisol, do all the comments and then I'll have them answered.
Oh.
Go do everything and then go ahead. We'll get you answers afterwards.
Okay. Well, I had more of a question, but in terms of comment, I guess I would just say that I think if for safety reasons, there's a lot of reasons we would like to have signage along the way. It's easy to get lost out there and disoriented and where you are. So I think any way that we can protect the public and make sure they can enjoy the outdoors at the same time is a good idea. But yes, that was my follow-up question. Mainly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And staff will give you a quick response here.
So
Oh, wait a minute. First, we'll close the public comment. Now staff will give you a quick response.
For reporting concerns on the signs, we will be able to put any type of verbiage we want. We'll be able to put any phone numbers we would like. So off the top of my head, we can have a public services phone number to report any hazards or maintenance concerns. We can have the mental health reporting number, the 911 number. We can have the San Ramon Trails email account for suggestions or other concerns. So obviously we will be able to put various ways for people to connect with us.
Go ahead, Scott.
I assume you have, particularly on the trailhead signs, you'll be able to put things that are cautionary, like watch for rattlesnakes, and make sure you're carrying water, and lots of safety focused orientation, not just regulations. We're closed after dark and dogs must be on leash, because I find that when I hike, and I've done a lot of hiking, that people will go out completely unprepared and unaware that they really are going into a semi-wilderness. Even in San Ramon, you can, we still get comments from people about the hawk took my cat or the coyote took my cat. And I said, well, yeah, okay. Cats should be inside and things like that. So we are living in an area where there is natural hazards. I remember one of the speakers was really worried about earthquakes and what happens in the event of an earthquake. Honestly, if you're in an earthquake and you're completely outdoors, you're probably in one of the safest places you could be. The earth rarely opens up and virtually nothing will fall on you. So I'm not particularly worried about earthquakes in our open spaces, but I know there have been people that have been concerned about that. But I'm in favor of this. I think this is great. The fact that somebody else is paying for it.
We're all doing.
I'm always a big fan of what I call OPM, other people's money. And I would encourage our staff to vigorously go get sponsors. I know Kathy's been really good at that. She's got a whole team of people. I guess you're on her team. You can go find Sports Basement, Bishop Branch, all these people. Good. Thanks.
Some
Steve.
oil company. But
Yeah, who knows?
Sabina.
Yeah, again,
I'm
I was
sorry,
just
Scott,
going to
if
say thank you. This was during our last year's council meeting when we talked about sponsorships. There's obviously a lot of pressures on a budget, so we can't do everything with the tax revenue we get because we've got a lot to do. So really appreciate you, really, Kathy and team, everybody taking this on point and bringing this back to council. Again, it's amazing that we can do that public-private partnership because it is so important for us to not tax people more and be able to get some of these amenities with that partnership. So thank you again and really appreciate it.
I think the idea is that people want their name associated with this. I mean, it's value to the people that put their name on it. Anyway, any further
What-
comments? Go ahead.
One last thing. Yeah, please put on at least some of the signs, the telephone number for public services. No, Maria is going, I don't
Or
know."
the deputy
But
city manager.
if people find damage or the trail is washed out, or there's a bridge that we use and it shows damage or graffiti or whatever, having the public services number on there as a kind of a non-emergency thing, I think could be a big help.
I'm so glad former Mayor Wilson's not here, right? Because I used to just give him his number.
Yeah.
I was so bad.
Or maybe even our CRM application CRM, right?
No, don't.
QR code.
Okay.
Take you wherever you want to go.
Bail me out, Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. This is the third time I've heard this. I heard it in policy. I heard it at Open Space Advisory Committee. And frankly, I think this is a win-win. I think this is good. There's signage everywhere out on our trails. It's all different. It's not consistent. And I think I like the way this program is going to give us a standardized, professional looking signage and even some wayfinding. And it should go a long way to enhancing safety while people are out there on the trail and situational awareness. So, and frankly, it's a bonus that it's at no cost to the city or even potentially a revenue generator for the city. So I'm all for moving forward with the planning, moving forward with the securing the sponsorship, and then let's get the signs in and move on.
Okay, Scott.
And one last thing, on the signs where you have, the map and it says you are here. My oldest son always went, how do they know? He says, they microchipped me. They must know.
Sabina, just bail us out of that one.
After listening to everybody, I wanted to share my brilliant idea that you get a QR code that goes to a link tree and we can add wherever we want to drive people from there. So
And
instead
for
of
the record-
pasting all these
Right.
different phone numbers and links and things.
And for the record, the time is 10:03 and somebody I'm sure will want to move this so we
Yep.
can get everybody home.
There's a waiting to move button.
Yeah. Tell us
I'll-
what it
I'll-
is first.
I'll move resolution 2022-059.
Too late.
Oh,
Yeah. Don't mess with those tech people. Okay, that's 5 out of 5. We'll end the vote and move on to, I think we can finish this off. Let's do it. The public hearing and introduction of ordinance next in line amending Title B, Division B7, Public Peace, Morals, and Welfare by adding Chapter 17. I had that written down on my other ones. A good thing I could quickly read these Roman numerals. Anyway, bail me out of this. Denton, you have the floor.
Just a moment through the mayor. As Alicia has been more intimately involved with this item than I think it's only fair that I give her the big chair for this one.
Oh, good. Go
So
ahead.
I will do
Oh, so
that.
you're gonna-
I will turn it over to Alicia.
so you're gonna be second chair.
Yes, I'll be in the peanut gallery with the rest.
Okay.
Right. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I'm here tonight to introduce a proposed ordinance for the city of San Ramon. And presentation's about 45 minutes. So if you can bear with me. I'm just kidding. Okay.
You know, I
Five-
pulled that
5
on
minutes.
somebody else.
5 minutes.
Now I know how they felt.
And we'll get through this as quickly as we can. But I wanted to first introduce a little bit of history associated with this ordinance. And it's directly related to AB 41, which was introduced in the California legislation last year. It was signed into law on September 30th. Specifically, it deals with law enforcement and state agencies and our funding, acquisition, and use of military equipment. So the one thing that's a little unique about this is really how the government code, which it's specifically section 770 through 775, defines military equipment and the requirements for local governing bodies to adopt an ordinance and approve a police department policy for the ongoing use of this equipment. Now, I will say that the military equipment that's defined in 7070 is very expansive. And you've seen that in the staff report that I provided in our policy. And it covers the gamut of equipment, everything from tracked armored personnel carriers to weaponized aircraft to all of these different equipments that The vast majority we do not possess. And some of the equipment
Never
that
will.
is really far off, we do not have that in our inventory. And I wanted to make sure that that was clear. And as we go into this and a little bit of the ordinance highlights itself, I wanted to go through why this is required. So Government Code Section 7070 requires a policy produced by the police department be approved via ordinance by governing bodies in the state of California now. And so we're presenting our policy, which is Section 708 of the San Ramon Police Department policy, which is specifically regarding specialized or military equipment use. And this is a requirement for us, and we came before the policy committee on March 23rd with this, and following a little bit of guidance from the policy committee, we adjusted a few things, and it's been posted on our website since March 25th. There was a requirement that it be posted 30 days prior to a public hearing associated with this. So we've now had it posted for well over 30 days. I believe we're at 32 when we're here tonight. So ongoing beyond this, we will continue as required in the ordinance that our policy be readily available and easily accessible to the public through the PD webpage. Another requirement in Government Code 7072 now requires that an annual report be presented to the City Council on the topics that you see in front of you on the screen. And again, this was outlined in the staff report, but we will give you an annual inventory update on the equipment that we do have for the San Ramon Police Department that qualifies as equipment under Government Code 7070. We will give you a detailed use report on the equipment, how we've used it over the past year, summary of any complaints that we've received regarding our use of any equipment that's in our inventory. We will make this report publicly available on the PD website. And then we will always have an annual, well-publicized community meeting within 30 days of our report being published. And in conjunction with this meeting tonight, and if the ordinance is accepted by the council and it is approved at the meeting on May 10th, we will also hold a well-publicized community meeting within 30 days of the approval of the ordinance. And that again is required. And I believe I touch on that in another slide. But one thing that we need to do is, again, we have to come before you and we have to get your approval prior to acquiring any equipment that is not currently in our inventory. So if we want a new piece of equipment that we don't currently have in our inventory, and it's something that's outside of the scope of what we've possessed before, we will come to you first if it is a piece of equipment that is defined under California Government Code 7070. Now, there is an exigent exemption in that ordinance that we have presented to you. If the threat to public safety or the threat to the San Ramon Police Department members is ongoing and we do not have time to come before you to request this equipment, and we need that equipment to safeguard the community or the members of the San Ramon Police Department, if we do acquire equipment or we utilize equipment that is not in our current inventory, we will come before you and report the use of that equipment or the acquisition of that equipment at the first available public meeting following its use. So that is written into the ordinance, that's written into our policy, and that's what we will operate on moving forward. And then yearly, when we provide this annual report to you, we will request that you review the ordinance, you take a look at our policy again, and provide any guidance or any changes that you would like to see in our policy. And again, on a yearly basis, we will be coming forward in front of you to present our policy once again and ask you if you have any requested revisions to the ordinance, the policy, and again, to present that annual report to you. So that's the quick overview of this ordinance introduction and the proposal that we're coming before you for our specialized and military equipment policy. And our request for this evening is that you obviously receive a staff report, and then we move forward with public comment. And then if there is any guidance or any direction or any changes that you would like, we're more than happy to make those. If there are not, and it is acceptable in the format that we presented it, then we'd request to be here again on May 10th for approval of the ordinance. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Questions of Denton or Alicia before I open or ask for a
Yeah,
motion?
I was actually going to see if the policy committee members could comment on any of this and what you guys discussed.
Go ahead, Scott. Start us off and then Mark.
Well, let's see. Mark and I got the original briefing, and we asked for some clarification because the it wasn't quite clear to me the way that was written that the list of equipment was, the first group is a list of definitions. Later in the report is the list of actually owned equipment. And so I wanted to make sure that was really clear, that the list of definitions is not the list of equipment. So armed drones and things like that are not on our list. If you look at the actual equipment further down in the pages 320 and so forth, they list the actual equipment: specialized firearms, specialized ammunition, breaching equipment, flashbangs. Those things are rarely used, at least in our city. But if you need them because of some really out of the box event, having them available can mean the difference between life and death for not just the officers, but possibly hostages or other innocents in the vicinity. You know, there was some question about an armored vehicle. The way it was described to me, one of the most common uses for those armored vehicles is the rescue of someone injured in a line of fire. And you can put that vehicle in the middle of the line of fire and rescue an injured person. So I think having this equipment to protect our citizens is absolutely vital. I know it adds a level of burden that the state legislature was concerned that some police departments are becoming overly armed and that their councils were unaware of it. I looked at our list, and frankly, I was not surprised at anything that was on the list that we actually owned. And I was aware of nearly everything, and anything I wasn't aware of, I thought, well, yeah, I would assume that you would have those things. But the two of us that have the most military experience were on the policy committee, so we didn't have a whole lot of trouble with it.
Well, that was one of the comments that I had in policy that I was either familiar with, had either used or trained with, or at least put hands on or seen all this equipment that's mentioned in our current inventory. And so I'm familiar with it. I happened to see a little of this in action when we were doing the Citizens Police Academy, and we had the stolen RV that came down Bollinger and got had the accident, overturned right here in the intersection, and had to bring in a small drone to fly inside of that stolen RV because the suspect wasn't responding, as well as I think they pulled out the Bearcat too as a safeguard just in case. So it's not, this is the type of equipment that it might be in our current inventory, but these items are really for infrequent use. This is not daily use type stuff. This is these are special items that will help protect our officers and protect public safety. So I think it's a good policy to be transparent with all the equipment that our police officers have. I understand the rationale for the state law and why we need this policy. And I think it's good that people see what we at least have access to and what our officers are properly trained to use in the conduct of their duties.
Okay. Vice Mayor Burrows.
Thanks for presenting, Captain Carlson. So time to time, I do get questions from community regarding our military equipment usage, especially the one about once they see the military equipment, they think that we are procuring that from some, what do you say, armed forces or something like that, right? So just to make sure we are clear on that, our police department is not going to these military expos and buying those, right? So I just want to make sure the public is aware of that.
So just in full disclosure, nothing in this inventory was obtained through the military surplus program. There is a program in place with the federal government where military equipment that is no longer being used, law enforcement agencies can request certain types of equipment and receive them. Nothing in our inventory that's listed here was procured from any of that military surplus. Now, we do have equipment. The only equipment that we have through the military surplus program are sighting systems that go on top of our patrol rifles. And the reason we did that is we could get a lot of 15 of them for free instead of paying $500 per unit to outfit our rifles. That's the only equipment we have, and that equipment doesn't qualify under this policy as a defined military equipment.
Excellent. Thanks for clarifying that. I hope that answers to our community who are questioned on those things. And also definitely we look forward for the reports in the future so that we can present to the community also whenever they can access those reports. So thanks.
Okay, I'll be looking for a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll move that we open the public hearing, introduce the ordinance, waive the reading, read by title only.
You better get it before she does.
Well, there you
Too
go.
late.
There you go. You're gonna let me do the reading, but you're gonna push the button. Oh, yeah, you guys are quick. All right. Okay.
It's after 10.
After
5 of
10.
5. Everybody wants to open the public hearing. Any further discussion on the motion? Let's do
We've
a
already
vote.
voted, David.
Oh, we already did. My goodness. You guys are quick. No, we are right now. Is there any speaker cards? Let's open a public comment right now.
I do not have any speaker cards, but I do have one request on Zoom.
Okay, let's bring her in or bring him in or
Call
bring
in
someone in.
user.
Last one.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I heard Captain Carlson referring to the presenter as Alicia. So I'm going to address Chief Alicia about this item. So I want to say that, all these weapons and, high power gadgets are excellent for our PDs because PDs are our friends. However, I was really disappointed that, Chief Alicia is retiring soon. And I don't know what kind of Chief Alicia is going to be coming to be our leader later. So as a, person who has a big mouth and always speak up against politicians, I'm really afraid to die. Should you guys put in a corrupt, chief after Chief Alicia leaves? I am really afraid to be shot to death. However, I know that I absolutely have no say, no power, no nothing. The only thing I'm good for is to pay taxes. So I made up my mind. I have decided to advocate for you guys to acquire these military weapons per our Chinese, communist Chinese advocating governor, Newsom. The first thing he went out to spend money on when we had the virus was to support a Chinese, communist Chinese electrical company called BYD to spend $1 billion to make the mask. So why not? Put in all these weapons, and when he's done putting in, and Senator Nancy Skinner has a bill that is going to allow illegal immigrants to become police. So I know I'm going to be shot to death, probably by these illegal immigrant police someday. So then so be it. You know what? I'm going to consider myself like Peter. Someday when I die, I want to die quickly. And, I guess hopefully I won't look too bad. Otherwise, for those people who have to clean me up, God help them. Okay, go.
Okay. Any further people on Zoom? Seeing none, no
No,
written
that was the
further
last, that was
comments?
the only request.
I'll close the public comment and make one clarifying statement.
Move we close. We have to have a motion. to
No,
close.
I mean, just the public comment part. As far as the public hearing, after the public comment, before we do the motion to close the public hearing. Too late, you guys are quick. There's no getting around that these guys are speedy. This is to close the public hearing.
Right.
I think it's 5 out of 5 to do it. I've just note that Chief Stevens is still the police chief here, and Alicia Poon is our city council on this matter, not with the police department. Okay, you guys are so far ahead of me right now. We've closed the public hearing. We're up to discussion. Any further discussion, or are we ready to set the ordinance for adoption?
Through the mayor, can I just make one comment through the mayor,
Yes.
just for recognition? We have a legal intern named Cal Mulugeta that helped me a lot with getting this together in a short amount of time,
Yes.
and Captain Carlson. So I just wanted to give her kudos for her work and effort into this project.
And she's in the
She's in
attorney's
the
office.
audience
She's not,
Zoom.
she's not with the police department. Okay.
No,
All right.
she's a Cal High senior. Graduate
Well,
senior.
then it's
So
done right.
I just wanted to give her the proper thanks and appreciation for all her
Well, I
hard
just
work.
lost the vote in Doherty Valley. Is that went right? Anyway, no, thank you very much for all your help on this. I think we're moving in the right direction. I think policy can asking the question of policy. So the next thing is, are we ready to make if there's no further discussion to set, and I don't see speakers, Mover Verosi, you are moving to set the ordinance for adoption at the next city council meeting on May 10th, correct? Okay. And do we have a second already? Holy cow, shut up and vote. 5 of 5. Thank you. All right. We are on to the city manager comments. Take 20 and
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on.
Just 20 comments, Mayor?
no, 20 seconds.
20 seconds, yes. Due to the hour, I'll keep it brief. Mayor and members of the council, as you may be aware, driving in, the new marquee is now up and running.
Thank
It
you.
is a much higher resolution. We are
Yes.
currently creating content for the marquee. You can actually read websites and phone numbers on it now. So we're very excited to have that newer, higher resolution screen. I did want to make the council and the public aware of 2 events this weekend. One is this Saturday on April 30th. We have a spring recycling event for residents only, San Ramon residents. They should have received a door hanger with all the information. And if you did not receive the door hanger, you can go to sanramonrecycles.com to look at the list of acceptable things that we would recycle for you. And the second event this weekend is the Doherty Station Farmers Market. That will be this Sunday, May 1st from 9 to 1 in the parking lot of the Doherty Station Community Center. And it will be a ribbon cutting opening ceremony, and they will have a maypole celebration. So with that, that will
when is
conclude-
And it's the
Sunday?
Communist
Sunday,
Party
10.
birthday, isn't it?
I won't
Isn't
be
May
here,
1st
but
the
good.
Communist Party birthday thing?
Hawaii.
Well, it's everywhere else, isn't it Labor Day?
Yes.
Okay.
Everywhere else.
And that's it.
Thank you. Very good. That teaches me to be a smart aleck on that thing. You came up with a great report. All right, public comment is now open. If you have not previously spoken under public comment, item 4, please use a raise your hand feature on Zoom or dial *9 on your telephone. And I don't think there's anybody here from the public. Do we have anyone on public comment who wants to speak?
We do have one request from call-in user.
Why not? Sure, go ahead. I know that she wanted to speak to the one item, and I told her before, I forgot what it was, something
I was
on the.
allowed to speak right now. Excuse me, can I speak? I was allowed to speak right now because you didn't call me like earlier.
That's what I just said. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So, I'm wondering, how can trashless city be actually accomplishable? Can a human being be poopless? You need to set goals that are actually attainable. Otherwise, it is just a political jargon that sounds ridiculous. I can understand trash reduction, trash minimization. Trashless? That is ridiculous. If you can be poopless someday, please let me know. I would love to know how. Also, the presenter of this item at the time mentioned the residents can bring a usable container to food product providers for refills and all that. However, she did not mention how do you keep up the sanitation. God forbid, if you have any family members who work in the food industry, now they're open to everyone's unclean, reusable containers, and they're open to diseases and sicknesses. Why is that okay? Why are you guys so okay with political agenda that makes you that makes you happy, but you actually ignore feasibility and sensibility? It was a shame. And I know why you deliberately put me, toward the end so nobody can hear me. Okay, that's fine. I know you guys are not really in this to help people, but to help yourselves and those people who donate to you and those people who are your friends. But honestly, if anyone who gets sick because of your policy, you should really not be able to go to bed at night.
Okay, thank you. All right, public comment is closed. There aren't any more speakers, right? No written, no. Okay, the item before us now is city council members' comments. Want to start from the left or start from the right? Who wants to jump in first? Go ahead, Sabina.
All right. So there were a number of events as things are starting to open up. I think last week, except for one day, there was something happening pretty much every day. And probably I missed that one day because something was still happening on that one day. So the mayor and I were at the Girl Scouts award ceremony, which was really wonderful. And, to the point that we were talking about recycling and being socially responsible, preserving our environment, the Girl Scouts had a lot of projects about planting trees, about recycling things to reuse them. And so it was really great to see them present. Obviously, I've been a Girl Scout mom, so every time I go to these ceremonies, it's I kind of miss those times when we were doing all those things. And our parents do a lot of. I know we talked about the Eagle Project. I think the Girl Scouts Gold Project should be added to it so that they can also connect with what they can do for trash-free San Ramon. Sheep shearing was on Saturday, which was fun. I at least ran into Council Member Armstrong over there. And so that was nice. I don't know, Kathy, if we have numbers on how many people attended, but I was there at 10:15 and there was no parking. I had to park up the hill and it was almost full there too. So getting more and more popular. The weather was perfect and everybody was just out. And I don't know, there's something quite cool about being in a city like San Ramon, which is apparently very modern, and then you go and see these sheep and they're just walking around and sharing them.
Were the sheep happy?
I don't know if the sheep were happy or not. I'm sure they were cooling off. No, they are.
Go ahead, take 45, Dan.
I just came this afternoon. We had the Tri-Valley Water Liaison meeting. And so they gave a pretty good presentation. They've made a video and hopefully they'll bring it over to City Hall as well to kind of show us how water is acquired. This is part of the one where we liaison. Marisol, I want to recognize you because you serve us on the DSRSD board as well, where we acquire water for Doherty Valley through the Zone 7. And so one of the things they did mention was that so far this has been the driest year, 2022, in the last 12 years or so. So they're still asking us to, ask our residents to conserve water. There's actually a number of rebates available that, we link back through our website and put them out there so people know that, if they choose to conserve water, they can actually get a number of rebates for example, changing their lawns and putting in more drought-friendly plants and things like that. Earth Day was April 22nd. I don't know if we celebrated in the city. I saw a lot of other cities doing stuff. So I hope we'll do something, big in the city next year, celebrate Earth Day, whether it's planting 1,000 trees in the city or something crazy like that. But I thought, it would be good for us to celebrate because we are so much about our green spaces, because we are so much about conservation. We're so much about, we continue to talk about a trash-free San Ramon. So if anything, San Ramon would plays an important part in Earth Day, and for us to celebrate that would be great. And then Stephen already mentioned, we'll be getting the farmers market in Doherty Valley. I am super excited about it. It is going to be our third farmers market in San Ramon. We have Windmill Farms, which is 7 days a week. We have the Saturday farmers market, and we've seen how well that is doing. And now the 11,000 plus homes in Doherty Valley will get another farmers market on Sunday. So our residents have a lot of options and choices now, for them to shop at our farmers market. So thank you so much again, Kathy and team, for making it happen. I know how much hard work went behind getting this up and running, so appreciate all of that. And that's it from my end.
Good. Now we're going to move all the way over to Mark. We'll go right, then left, then back to the right. I'm getting tired. Okay, Mark.
Well, I had a good day over at the tree planting on a rainy Saturday. Council member Safar was there as well for Arbor Day. And at the same time, same day, we also took a tour of Forest Home Farms in general and the Boone House. And that was sponsored by the San Ramon Historic Foundation. So it was a nice rainy day to get out there and plant a tree. Also attended a teen council meeting. The council reviewed the annual report that should be coming to us here at City Council on or about May 10th. And they made a decision to have their final meeting of the year in person on the 17th of May. Also on the 21st, saw some of you at the San Ramon Rotary Educator Luncheon, where we honored some of the educators of the year that for the feeder schools into the Cal High high school system. And that was a great event. Good to see some some familiar faces and some great teachers and the principals out there to support them as well. San Ramon Valley Education Foundation there as well. We had our school resource officers, just the whole community came out and supported our educators. And then also I was at as mentioned, at sheep shearing. I brought my grandson. What a great event, a real fun day. And it was huge. It was just, parking was really tough to find. And saw Stephen there as well. And I look forward to seeing others at the ribbon cutting for the farmers market. That should be fun.
Scott.
Okay. Another event, if you're so inclined, our Rotary Club is sponsoring Truck Time at BR 2700 on Saturday. I think it's from 9 to 1. We have lots of different kinds of trucks, fire trucks and dump trucks, and it's a great event for your sub-teen group, your elementary school group type. So it's Truck Time. It's a fundraiser. The primary recipient of the funds will be the San Ramon Education Foundation. So I'm the chair of the Tri-Valley Transportation Council, and a week ago Monday, we had a meeting, a very important meeting, where we approved our strategic expenditure plan and our Tri-Valley transportation development or impact fee. And as part of the process, San Ramon will receive $2,287,000 for the bridge over Bollinger at the Iron Horse Trail. So that's money coming from development impact fees. So every house that gets built, every apartment that gets built, every store or office pays an impact fee into that. The total revenue expected is 168 million, of which 20% will come back to the return to source funds that we can use on our own transportation projects. And then the other 80% gets distributed to projects such as the Valley Link, improvements at Vasco Road, improvements on Crow Canyon Road, out towards Castro Valley and places like that. I went to Boy Scout Troop 888 Court of Honor last night, and amongst other things, they had 6 Eagle Scouts, plus a bunch of others. They have about 100 boys in that troop. Very, very active and well-run troop. And last Friday was the East Bay Regional Communication System Authority Finance Committee. We review the budget every year. Our fiscal year is the same as most of California's, July 1. So we review budget and our spending plan. And we have currently have over $10 million in our reserves. but we're anticipating that we have a lot of capital equipment that we're going to have to replace in the next 10 years. Microwave towers, all kinds of very expensive equipment. So we're working on our 10-year plan. And that's my report.
Okay, Sridhar.
Along with all other events, there is one more first ever San Ramon Children's Business Fair event. It's right in Central Park on Saturday at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So this is our first children's business fair performed by or hosted or organized by our own San Ramon community resident. So that's on Saturday. And about the events, I had opportunity to attend our San Ramon Valley Science Olympiad. Had a great time meeting all our budding scientists, and they're all ideas and thoughts amazing. Especially our elementary schools within San Ramon clinched pretty much majority of the trophies, especially Bella Vista and the other Quail Run. Those two schools, I just rolled over all the trophies. And other event is sheep sharing. Yeah, it was great day. It's amazing that to see. It looks like everybody want to come out outdoors after this post-COVID. Everybody want to just come out of their house, and fortunately with the good weather, everybody was able to enjoy. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see our Dottie Valley Farmers Market. So I'll see you all hopefully on Sunday.
I bet there'll be a crush of people at the Art and Wind Festival this year. People will be so eager to go to that. We'll have to have extra crowd control. Who knows?
Yeah,
It's going to be packed.
I love that the banners are up. They look
Yeah.
really nice.
Hey,
All
mayor
right.
report.
What?
There's so darn many things that I'm gonna just cut it down to 3. I haven't been through 2 weeks with as many dinners and meetings, et cetera. One, I'm gonna need some help on because they're just, all the names are running together. At the Red Blue, what was the meeting we went to at Blackhawk? And who was the corporal that was
Jared Pereira.
just outstanding? I had to hang around for him and then get going and for a 4 o'clock meeting the next morning. The
That
other thing,
RV keeps giving and giving.
yeah, mhm. The other thing that was brought up about you can't be trash free in San Ramon, I want to remind, if not all of us, I know Sabina and I did. I mean, we signed the pledge for diesel free in 33 for California. So it's actually something that you want to do to tell people this is important, and we strive to do it. So I commend Carrie for coming up with that. Definitely love that gold award. The last time I was at a gold award, believe it or not, was for Gary Chavin's daughter, who was here today, and it was quite some time ago. I thought Sabina did an outstanding job with her speech. I hadn't intended to be there when I came in. I ducked that speech, but I didn't have to speak. It was great. But the best part of it had to be, and for those of us that have been on council while Abram was mayor, when she channeled her best Abram Wilson and said, "Now go hug your mom and go hug your dad," I thought I was going to bust up laughing. Abram is back. He wouldn't let those poor kids get away without doing it. It was a great job, and I thought it was very well received. Fortunately, I was able to do the same thing on Sunday. There was an art contest, and we gave out certificates and awards to the recipients. Some of the most fantastic artwork I've seen from our kids. Really, really impressed. I thought Melissa Hernandez, the mayor of Dublin, was there as we gave out these awards. And she told every single one of them, "Give me your pictures. I'll put them in my office for a week and you can come by and show them." And I think it would be something great that we could do here. We would really get behind that. For years when Don Kowalski was running the thing we would do over at the Mara. You'll see some of the pictures around here. But it's something, I'll leave it up to Kathy, Carol, Lucy, if they want to do something like that, if we could put it up for a week or whatever it is. Because I mean, I was shocked. Some of this stuff I would buy and put on the wall. It was really, really impressive. And I'll leave it at that because I don't want to ramble on too much unless somebody else has something for the good of the order. We are adjourned to the next city council meeting, which will be held on May 10th, 2022. Thanks again for a very long evening that I thought went very well. And to the people that did come out to speak tonight, thank you very much. I know for many of you, it wasn't what you expected, but you will see that the process will continue. Thank you.